Hey everyone, I sincerely appreciate your support. If you enjoy my audiobooks, I would be truly grateful if you could subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to support even further, you're welcome to become a Patreon member, where you can access audiobooks of novels as long as they are freely available on the internet. Your kindness and support mean so much. Thank you.
The people transporting the corpses placed them in a room. One of them muttered, "So many people have died these past few days." The man next to him nudged him with his elbow and gave him a look. "Enough, stop talking. Didn't Old Wei say not to talk about this? Did you forget?" I know, I was just venting. Once Old Wei finishes off that female ghost, my good days will finally be back. Ha ha ha, hey, so which one are you into?" The man's eyes turned suggestive. Now that Zhao Su's dead, maybe his sister. Ha 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 ha, you bastard. That girl Xiaomeng's actually not bad, but the two she brought along aren't bad either. If we could have all three, that'd be perfect. The two of them bantered back and forth, completely unaware that two people were hiding in the corner. Guangran frowned. What do those villagers mean? That sounded really off. Chi Mai pulled her into the room. Forget them for now. We've got more important things to do. Guangran nodded. She looked at Zhao Su's horrific face and forced herself to push past her discomfort. She placed her hand on his forehead and slowly closed her eyes. After a few minutes, her brows furrowed tightly, pale lips pressed together, lashes trembling uncontrollably, sweat trickling down her cheek. Then Guangran suddenly opened her eyes and gasped for breath, clutching Chi Mai beside her, her expression shocked like she had seen something unbelievable. "What is it?" Chi Mai asked in a low voice. "What did you see?" Guangran's heart was in turmoil. She looked up blankly and stammered, "Brother Chi, I think we've been tricked. By Bo Jingmo, and by the female ghost. I saw it." Zhao Su was killed by Bo Jingmo and the female ghost together. Meeting Chi Mai's gaze, she trembled as she revealed the most shocking truth, and Bo Jingmo and the female ghost are a couple. So, there was never any seduction involved. From beginning to end, Bo Jingmo had been working with the ghost to deceive them. He was a player himself, but he was helping the female ghost kill players. He even tricked them into killing their own teammate. This conclusion sent chills through Guangran. She had never encountered anything like this. Even Jisun and the others had only sabotaged each other to fight for points. But Bo Jingmo, he was aiming for their lives? And there was something even trickier in front of them. Guangran clutched Chi Mai's wrist. "Brother Chi, the villagers are bad too. The female ghost was killed by them when she was alive. Even if she dies now, there's no way we'll survive under those villagers. It really was wolves in front and tigers behind. No matter which direction they went, this group of players was walking straight into death." At that thought, her heart sank into despair, and her grip slowly loosened. Chi Mai's expression was grim, but his voice remained steady. "Don't panic. We already know about Bo Jingmo and the female ghost. Right now, the priority is uncovering the village's secret. Either way, that's a lead." Outside the house, a red figure stood behind a tree. Behind her, two corpses lay silently on the ground not far away. If Guangran had been there, she would have recognized them as the two villagers who had just transported the bodies. The woman watched everything happening in the house, her voice laced with a faint smile. "Bo Jingmo, our plan's been exposed." She had originally intended for the players to help Wei Kaifan. As long as they became accomplices instead of bystanders, then she and Bo Jingmo killing everyone would be justified. She hadn't expected Guangran's skill to reveal memories of the dead. Truly a useful ability. Now, it looked like the players wouldn't be helping Wei Kaifan anymore. The village's secret wouldn't stay hidden either. The man bent down from behind and wrapped his arms around her waist. His body still carried the killing aura and blood from earlier, a faint red light flashing in his eyes. His cold lips pressed gently against her neck as he murmured with soft affection, "It's fine. If you still want to kill, just go ahead. You haven't let go of your grudge yet. Killing is justified." Since the players hadn't resolved the female ghost's resentment, the ghost was still allowed to kill. Yuli leaned back lazily into his arms and chuckled, brushing his face with her fingers and raising a brow. "That makes sense. But then the difficulty of the instance gets too high. The main team hadn't made any mistakes. They'd even figured out the village's secret. If they were just killed now, the audience wouldn't buy it. This instance wasn't particularly difficult. The ghost was even cooperative with the players. If her killing aura stayed too heavy, her character risked being exposed. Soon the little system would start panicking again. That was why she'd stopped Bo Jingmo from revealing the truth to the players in the first place, because once they solved the mystery of the village, she couldn't just kill freely anymore. She had planned to kill a few more, but that probably wouldn't work now. Yuli tapped her fingertip against the man's arm, narrowed her eyes, then suddenly curled her lips. "Since they already figured it out, we might as well let them know everything." She tilted her head and smiled at Bo Jingmo before leaning in for a kiss. "Besides, someone's bound to die anyway. We've already achieved our goal." These players had lost their original intent. They'd begun betraying their teammates, turning cooperation into mutual exploitation. That was exactly what Yuli wanted. As long as everyone was a villain, then there was no such thing as a villain anymore. So now let them be the good guys. The night breeze blew past. Leaves drifted down from the tree. The two figures beneath it vanished. Meanwhile, inside the house where Ji Sun lay, Yi Xian opened the door. Upon seeing Ji-sun inside, a flicker of complex emotion crossed her eyes as she slowly walked in. Ji-sun tried to sit up when he saw her return, but the pain forced him to lie back down. What did you see over there? Yi Xian sat down in the chair, her expression cold. Zhao Su's dead. Bo Jingmo is too. Ji-sun blinked in surprise. Bo Jingmo's dead too. Apparently. Old Wei said he's become a ghost now, Yi Xian said matter-of-factly, tone calm. So, Ji-sun, we've decided to offer you up and then destroy the female ghost. Me. Her voice was too calm. Ji-sun didn't grasp it at first. When he did, his tone suddenly sharpened. You're going to let me die. He knew this tactic too well? That's right. Yi Xian curled her lips, narrowing her eyes. You're stuck in bed now, worse than dead. You might as well do something useful for once. Bull*T, in your dreams. Ji-sun roared from the bed. Yi Xian stood up and looked down at him. Ji-sun, I saved your life once. But you didn't bring me any surprises. You're useless now. According to team rules, this is all you're good for. Ji-sun's eyes reddened with rage. He gritted his teeth and glared at Yi Xian. Don't even think about it. If I die, you all die with me. I'm not letting any of you walk away so easily. Guangran and Chi Mai had just stepped into the house when they heard those words. They froze for a second, then opened the door and walked in. The four of them looked at each other. For a moment, no one spoke. Guangran pressed her lips together, hesitating whether to reveal what she had discovered. Then, a woman's soft laugh suddenly echoed in the room. Why don't I help you all instead? As soon as the voice rang out, everyone instinctively turned to look toward its source. In the corner of the room sat a woman in red on a chair. Her waist-length hair fell behind her in waves, a few stray strands draping by her ears, making her delicate, pale face look even fairer. Her lips were a striking crimson, a floral forehead ornament bloomed vividly between her brows, and she propped her chin in one hand, fox-like eyes gently curved in a soft, tender smile. She tilted her head slightly and chuckled. Hello everyone, I'm the ghost you've all been talking about. Seeing everyone instinctively tense up, the woman sighed, mumbling with a faint trace of grievance, Bo Jingmo, looks like your friends don't like me. At the mention of that name, everyone in the room froze again. A man's figure slowly emerged behind the woman, and when they saw that familiar face, Guangran and the others widened their eyes in disbelief. Bo Jingmo was actually alive in spirit form? The man gave them a flat glance, then bent down and gently kissed the top of the woman's head. I'll explain it to them, he said. It was a soft and coaxing voice they'd never heard from him before. Even though Guangran and Chi Mai already knew about the relationship between the two ghosts, their expressions still looked complicated. Let alone Yi Xian and Ji-sun, who had no idea what was going on. They frowned in confusion, unable to make sense of the situation. What was this? Wasn't Bo Jingmo a player? How did he end up with an NPC? The man raised his head. His face was still as it had been before he died, handsome and refined, with an air of aloof elegance in his features, as though he had never died at all. But the eerie red glint flashing occasionally in his eyes made it clear Bo Jingmo was no longer human. His thin lips parted slightly as he introduced Yu Li's identity to the group. She's my girlfriend. Girlfriend. Even lying in bed, Ji-sun's voice turned sharp with shock. His eyes bulged as he pointed. I knew you were involved with that ghost, Bo Jingmo. He shouted. I knew my analysis was spot on. Bo Jingmo and the female ghost were a team. He couldn't move much, so he was desperate to prove himself with words. Yu Li stood up, giggling as she interrupted him. Actually, all your guesses were wrong. She walked over to Ji-sun, and Yi Xian instinctively made way for her. Lili and Du Yanhan weren't killed by me. From beginning to end, I only killed the villagers. As if remembering something, she smiled and pointed at Bo Jingmo. Oh wait, him too. Ji-sun's eyes narrowed. He was just about to speak when the woman chuckled. But your eyes, those were my doing. Ignoring Ji-sun's suddenly resentful, sinister stare, she stood and walked over to Guangran. Yu Li was slightly taller than her. Staring at Guangran's pale face, she raised a brow and said, You've been dying to figure out the secret of this village, haven't you? Why don't I just tell you? Rather than letting the players earn plot discovery points, she might as well give them the truth directly. Under those beautiful fox-like eyes, Guangran couldn't help but avert her gaze. Her heart beat nervously, and she looked at Yu Li with wary curiosity. Really? Of course, Yu Li said with a light laugh. She snapped her fingers, and instantly, a dozen or so pitch-black, shadowy figures appeared in the room. They had no solid form, like shadows cast under a street lamp, some darker, some lighter, but it was still clear they were all female ghosts. Startled by the sudden appearance of so many ghosts, everyone reflexively backed up a few steps, fear flickering in their eyes. Don't be afraid. These ghosts have no power. They can't hurt you. Yu Li walked through the shadows and sat back in her chair. Behind her, Bo Jingmo quietly helped smooth her long hair. She waved her hand, and the shadows vanished again. See that? Those shadows were the girls killed by the villagers. Some were about your age, brought here by the villagers into this deep mountain forest. You can guess what happened next. Guangran looked at her and asked knowingly, So, you're one of them? Yep, Yu Li smiled with her chin propped on her hand, voice lazy. I'm the wife. Zhao Su mentioned, the one who drowned in the lake. At that, the man behind her paused his movement. Yu Li pretended to adjust her hair, her fingers lightly brushing against his palm. Soothingly reassured by her touch, Bo Jingmo pressed his lips together and let a faint smile tug at the corners of his mouth. Guangran had too many questions. Although she could glimpse Zhao memories, the information was limited. So she fired off a string of questions all at once. How did you die? Why couldn't the other girls end up like you? What exactly is Wei Lao trying to do? What kind of cooperation did you mean? Yuli raised a brow slightly, answering slowly, it all comes down to Wei Kaifan. He's using human lives to feed an evil spirit. Fresh female souls, especially, have the strongest power. That thing you saw, the so-called statue, is actually just a vessel containing an evil entity. Wei Kaifan was the real monstrous ghost. He'd partnered with the evil spirit, enjoying the false immortality it offered. And as a price, there would be no future generations in the village. That's why there were no children, not even women, in the village. In reality, the village had already been dying out for a long time. To keep the villagers from noticing, Wei Kaifan brainwashed them, telling them he'd find wives for them from outside, that women from outside could bear children. But in truth, he was just increasing the number of souls being sacrificed. The foolish villagers were easily manipulated and began treating Wei Lao as a god. Chen Daxai and Chen Chang were from the same family. Chen Chang was the only promising one in the village, so Wei Lao wasn't about to let him go either. He explained that there were too many ghosts, which was why the village was haunted. Those ghosts would follow you for life no matter where you ran, they'd never let you go. To suppress them, sacrifices had to be made to the immortal he served. Controlling Zhao Su was even simpler. All he had to do was make him part of the scheme. So Wei Lao proposed using Yu Bangxiu's body as a vessel and sealing her underwater, trapping all the ghosts with her beneath the lake. That way, they wouldn't cause trouble anymore. He even threatened Zhao Su if he didn't comply, the whole village would die, including his sister. Sacrifice an outsider to save the whole village. That was Zhao Su's so-called no choice. So my death was used to suppress the souls of those girls. But Wei Kaifan never expected their resentment to create me. This body was no longer Yu Bangxiu's. It had become the collective resting place for all the wandering, vengeful spirits. Yuli looked at her fingertips and smiled faintly. What Wei Lao wants now is actually the souls of all of you. He just needs one more to ask the evil spirit to help destroy me. Hearing Yuli reveal the secret of the village, everyone fell into silence. They were still just new players, barely having completed a few instances, and their understanding of the game world was still that NPCs held critical clues while ghosts were the enemies to fight. But now the truth was the exact opposite. In this instance, the NPC was the real villain. Guangran narrowed her eyes. If that's really the case, then why did you attack us before? You could have just told us. We would have helped you. Her gaze swept past the male ghost behind the woman. Her expression paused, and then she asked one final question. And if Bo Jingmo is your boyfriend, then why did you kill him? To everyone's surprise, the woman laughed when she heard that. Bo Jingmo, she's asking me why I killed you. The man behind her lifted his eyelids, tone indifferent. I was the one who told her to kill me. That one sentence made everyone's CPU overheat. What, voluntarily? Seeing how shocked everyone was, the woman stood up, reached out to caress the man's face, and tilted her head up to gently kiss him. She turned her head slightly and glanced at them from the corner of her eye, fox-like eyes glinting with amusement, a lover's suicide pact, never seen that before. The woman leaned against the man's chest, lips curling. I'm already dead anyway. Him living alone is just boring. Might as well come keep me company. At that moment, all four of them couldn't help but feel a shiver of dread. What kind of logic is that? Yuli looked at Guanggran's stunned expression and chuckled lightly. As for what you said, why I didn't tell you. As she spoke, she stepped out of Bo Jingmo's arms and walked straight toward Guanggran. Her skirt traced a perfect arc in the air, each step as if treading on lotus petals, slow but graceful. Guanggran's breath hitched as she watched the woman stop right in front of her. The woman reached out to twirl a strand of her hair, those fox eyes drooping gently. Her long curled lashes cast stunning shadows, the blush at the corners of her eyes dazzling. She leaned in close, her final word rising slightly. Of course it's because, just like Wei Kaifan, I want your souls too. Rather than waste time and effort on cooperation, if she got their souls before Wei Kaifan did, her power would grow, and getting her revenge would be far more reliable than trusting these people. At that, Chi Mai's expression changed. He was about to move in front of Guanggran when, the next second, his body froze. A wisp of black mist had silently coiled around his wrist. Startled, he looked up only to meet Bo Jingmo's cold, indifferent gaze. Right beside him, Guanggran's body stiffened as well. Faced with that stunning face up close, even knowing the woman was a ghost, she couldn't help but lose focus for a moment. Her nose was filled with the woman's scent, a fragrance that couldn't quite be described, like the natural aroma of forests and lakes, with a hint of freshness in the damp air. Strangely pleasant. Her pale fingertips gleamed faintly pink against her jet black hair, unlike any other vengeful ghost she'd ever seen. This ghostly woman looked like a spirit of the night. Every movement was naturally seductive. Her gentle voice felt like poisoned candy, dangerous, but addictive. And after hearing those words, Guanggran knew she should have been scared and guarded. But instead, she was just, flustered and tense, completely disarmed by the woman. Guanggran swallowed hard. For a split second, she suddenly understood Bo Jingmo. Even if he really was bewitched by the ghost, it kind of made sense. Just as she was thinking that, Yu Li's eyes curved as she suddenly said, "But, I've changed my mind now." The strands of hair slipped from her fingers. She leisurely pulled her hand back, her tone lazy, "Because Bo Jingmo doesn't like your souls inside my body." Since he's helping me, I don't need your souls anymore. The moment she said that, Guangran and Chi Mai both froze. Even Yi Xian and the others nearby looked stunned. Wait, does that mean Bo Jingmo actually saved them? If it weren't for Bo Jingmo, this ghost woman would have just killed them and taken their souls? Not just the players, even the audience was dumbfounded. What the hell? Another plot twist? At first I thought Bo Jingmo was good, then he turned out bad, and now, he's good again. He single-handedly saved his teammates? Bo Jingmo, you keep surprising me. So Bo Jingmo dies, the ghost was gonna kill everyone, but because her boyfriend doesn't like it, she lets them live. I'm losing it. I can't tell if it's possessiveness or if he genuinely cares about his team. No, it's totally possessiveness. He didn't want other players' souls dirtying his girlfriend. TCH. Either way, he saved them. They were all supposed to die. This team's kinda weak TBH. Couldn't find a single clue. Took Guangran using a skill and the ghost spelling it out for the plot to advance. So the ghost and Bo Jingmo were pretending from the start? Just to fool that old man? And now the only one who doesn't know they're a couple is him. Old man Wei, come on, who would even think of that? Still, Guangran and Chi Mai surprised me. If they hadn't found the plot, were they really gonna sacrifice Ji-sun? They always hated that kind of thing. What else could they do? It was death either way. So ironic. Last instance, Ji-sun sacrificed their teammate. Now it's their turn. Sigh, things change fast. Can't blame them. With pressure from both the ghost and Wei Keifen, these newbie players just couldn't take it. Wasn't this supposed to be an easy instance? Why is it so hard? They must have triggered a hidden plot line. Total dumb luck. But it's fine now. The ghost wants to work with them. Should be a full team clear, right? Thinking of the cooperation the ghost had just proposed, Guangran narrowed her eyes. So about that cooperation you mentioned, what is it? Yu Li smiled faintly. You've all seen it. Wei Keifen has something that lets him control me. I need you to help me put on a little show to trick him into bringing it out. Once he does, we destroy it, and then I can kill him. Her tone was slow and casual, but before that, you can't let him actually succeed in the sacrifice. If that evil spirit gets released, even I can't stop it. And I definitely won't be able to protect you then. So, we'll need someone in good shape to act as the offering, someone who can run when the time comes. As she spoke, her gaze landed on Chi Mai. Her eyes narrowed slightly, and she pointed a finger without much care. In my opinion, he's the best candidate for the sacrifice. What? Guangran exclaimed, rejecting the idea without hesitation. That's way too dangerous. The woman blinked and, surprisingly, was very easygoing. No problem, then forget it. She then turned with a bright smile to the male ghost behind her. Bo Jingmo, they won't cooperate. Go ahead and kill them, then we'll just collect their souls and do it ourselves. The whole group of players. How the hell is that being easygoing? Seeing the killing intent rise in Bo Jingmo's eyes, very much not a joke, Guangran quickly shouted, wait. She stammered, the original sacrifice was supposed to be Ji-sun. Changing it now would be way too suspicious. What if old Wei gets suspicious? The woman tilted her head and smiled, that's easy. Her gaze casually drifted to Ji-sun lying on the bed. Her red lips curled as she spoke in a leisurely, nonchalant tone. Useless people, just kill them now. Her airy words sent shockwaves through the group, especially Ji-sun, who repeated in disbelief, kill me. Guangran also pursed her lips and said, does Ji-sun really have to die? Yu Li clapped her hands, eyes curving into a smile. If we don't get rid of him first, and old Wei finds a chance to make a move, everything we've done will be for nothing. My boyfriend and I don't have time to protect him. Her gaze swept over the group, voice laced with ambiguity. Of course, if any of you are willing to take responsibility for protecting Ji-sun, I can spare him. That one sentence pushed the players right back into the fire. This responsibility wasn't something they could just claim. If anything happened, no one could bear the consequences, especially not a bunch of newbies who'd only cleared a few instances. Yi Xian was the first to speak. She sat in her chair, turning her head aside. I can't protect him. Yi Xian. Ji-sun shouted in fury. We were? The rest of his sentence about teammates cooperating was cut off harshly by the system. Instance rule, players may not expose their identity in front of NPCs. Ji-sun had already violated the rule, but at that moment, he couldn't care less. He was about to die? Who gave AD*MN about the score? With Yi Xian's stance clear, Yu Li's eyes shifted to Guangran and Chi Mai. These two were the nicest ones in the instance. Ji-sun seemed to realize that too. His face turned pale as paper as he lowered his voice, begging, Guangran, Chi Mai, I'm still useful, you can't give up on me. I promise I'll change, please, help me, please. Chi Mai, already picked as the offering, couldn't even guarantee his own survival, let alone worry about Ji-sun. He just silently looked at Guangran. And Guangran. She clenched her fists. Hair hung down on both sides of her cheeks, hiding everything but her tightly pressed lips. After a long silence, she finally said two words, I'm sorry. She didn't have the strength to bear the weight of multiple lives. In an instant, Ji-sun's heart hit rock bottom. His face turned deathly pale, eyes full of despair, his whole being seemed to lose all vitality. Yu Li rested her chin on her hand, admiring the hopelessness on his face. Her mood lifted as she squinted her eyes, lips curling upward. She looked at Bo Jingmo, voice gentle, Jingmo, escort them out first. Since they can't bring themselves to kill Ji-sun, I guess we'll reluctantly help them. Listen to that, like it wasn't her who brought up killing Ji-sun in the first place. Now she even sounded like she was kindly easing their guilt. The man moved, instantly appearing at the doorway. He opened the door and looked at the others, speaking flatly, "You go out first. And bring Wei Kaifan over while you're at it. Let him see us kill Ji-sun with his own eyes." The three silently walked toward the door. Chi Mai was last, his gaze lingering on Bo Jingmo. He hesitated for a moment before finally whispering, "Bo Jingmo, do you still remember me?" It was the same question Guan Gran had asked. They both wanted to know if there was still any human awareness left in Bo Jingmo, or had he really become just like an NPC? Bo Jingmo lifted his eyelids, red light glowing in his eyes as he looked over, cold and distant. He slowly closed the door. His voice remained indifferent. "No." Chi Mai's eyes dimmed. Then suddenly, something seemed to click in his mind. His expression blanked out, and he murmured, "So that's what that meant." He remembered. He remembered why Bo Jingmo refused to join them. "I can't cooperate with you, because after I became a ghost in the game, I completely lost my self-awareness." Back then, both Sen Xiu and he hadn't understood what that meant. But now, he thought he finally got it. Bo Jingmo wouldn't die after being killed, he'd turn into a ghost. But the price was losing all self-awareness. So now he didn't recognize them anymore. He only recognized the female ghost? Chi Mai lowered his head in a daze. Guan Gran stepped up beside him and softly called out, "Chi Ji." The man turned his head slowly, still blank. His sharp features now looked defeated, lips moving slightly. "Guan Gran. Bo Jingmo will never work with us." That man was a wild card, doomed to never be part of any team. But the strange thing was, if he lost his self-awareness, then how come Bo Jingmo remembered to help that ghost woman from start to finish? Bo Jingmo says he doesn't remember them, so he really did lose his self-awareness. Isn't that how he's always been? Becomes a ghost, loses his mind, all he does is kill. But he hasn't snapped lately, has he? Wait, ever since he started that CP thing, he hasn't gone nuts once. Bro, you spotted it, Bo Jingmo's a simp. It's confirmed? Wife above all. And let's not forget, his wife is crazy too. Every instance NPC seems insane. WTF is this madman attracts madman phenomenon? D***MN it. Now that you say it, I totally see it. Alright, the psycho couple's in there murdering someone, I wanna see what's going on in that room. Me too? SSSSSS. With a click, the door locked. Yuli stood by the bed and looked over, raising an eyebrow as she asked Bo Jingmo, "You're not planning to tell them you still have your memories?" The man walked over and took her hand, tucking her hair behind her ear. Then he leaned in, tilted his head, and kissed her cheek, voice tender, "They're too much trouble. And if you want to kill them later, I can just help you myself." Yuli let out a low laugh, stroked his face, and praised him like giving a reward. "Good job." Ji-sun stared at them, eyes wide in shock. His voice suddenly rose in fury, "If you're going to kill them anyway, then why kill me first?" Yuli shot him a sidelong glance, her bright eyes turning cold, lips curving faintly. "Why kill you first?" The woman walked over step by step. She sat in a chair, fingers curling with wisps of black mist. Reflected in the man's pupils, the stunningly beautiful woman gave a slight smile. Her red lips parted, and she spoke with a dangerous, smiling tone. "Ji-sun, eavesdropping isn't a good habit." She raised her hand, and the black mist instantly clamped over Ji-sun's ears. The world seemed to fall silent. All external sound vanished. The sound of his own heartbeat grew deafening. Only the woman's soft laugh became clearer and clearer in his ears. "Didn't you say Lily and the others died because they saw me? Ji-sun, I'll fulfill your belief now." As she finished speaking, the black mist burrowed into his ears, like thorny vines piercing flesh. His eardrums ruptured instantly, blood flowing from his ears. Ji-sun's pupils tore open. He screamed in agony, "Ah!" He struggled, trying to grab the black mist at his ears. But someone yanked his hair back violently. He looked up and was met with a pair of indifferent red eyes. It was Bo Jingmo. He was actually helping the ghost kill a teammate. The man's gaze was ice cold, like a beast lying in wait. His handsome face was blank, but the pressure was overwhelming. A detached voice entered his ear, "Don't move." An overwhelming fear surged in. Ji-sun's lips trembled, unable to form words. From his only functioning eye, tears of desperation streamed down. No, he didn't want to die like this. The black mist crept through his ear canal into his nerves, slowly stripping away his hearing. A piercing ringing filled his ears. And then, silence. Ji-sun's eyes froze. His face turned completely ashen with despair. He couldn't hear a thing. At the same time, a flurry of chaotic footsteps echoed outside the room. Old Wei had been at home preparing materials when that group suddenly burst in, flustered and frantic, blurting out the first thing. "That ghost is going to kill Ji-sun." Upon hearing that, Old Wei's movements froze. His gaze turned sharp as he snapped, "What?" He quickly grabbed his things, and by the time he arrived at the house, just as expected, the door was tightly shut, with thick black mist seeping out from the cracks. Beside him, Guan Gran looked anxious, panting as she explained, her voice openly panicked. "The ghost woman suddenly showed up. We managed to run out, but Ji-sun's still inside." Her face had always looked sickly, and now, after the intense run, sweat beaded on her forehead, and her complexion was ghostly pale at first glance. She genuinely looked like she'd been scared senseless. Wei Kaifan barely gave her a glance before looking away. He gritted his teeth, eyes filled with venom as he stared at the door. That D***MN ghost. Thinks she's all that just because she got Bo Jingmo? And now she dares to steal his offering. He pulled out a straw doll from his bag and jabbed it with a needle. The next second, the black mist in the room instantly receded by half. The eyes of Guangran and the others behind him flickered. Could that thing in Old Wei's hand be? Meanwhile, inside the room, Yu Li's movements paused. A wave of pain spread from her chest, but her expression remained unchanged as she withdrew her hand, voice cold, he's here. Perhaps sensing the change in Yu Li, Bo Jingmo raised his eyes and looked toward the door, a flash of red gleaming with a hint of killing intent. Seeing the mist clear, Old Wei immediately tried to open the door. As soon as it opened, they saw Bo Jingmo standing by the bed. The tall man was cloaked in thick black mist. His eyes glowed red like blood, filled with murderous madness. His slender, pale hand was wrapped around Ji Sun's neck. Ji Sun's eyes were shut, his head slumped to the side, blood running from his ears down his neck. His body showed no signs of movement, he looked completely lifeless. The moment they entered, Bo Jingmo glanced over. The corners of his lips lifted slightly, eyes brimming with bloodlust. The black mist on his body suddenly condensed, ruthlessly piercing into Ji Sun's heart, then yanked back out. A gaping, bloody hole was left behind. He tossed the body to the ground and kicked Ji Sun's corpse toward them. Behind him, Guanggran's fingertips trembled slightly. She turned her head away, unable to look. It was too disturbing. Seeing a former teammate so brutally killed left her feeling a sick mix of discomfort and fear. Chi Mai froze momentarily at the sight too. He lowered his gaze, clenching his fists. So this is what Bo Jingmo does after losing awareness. Among them, Old Wei had the darkest expression. Watching his offering get snatched away in front of his eyes almost made him explode. And right at that moment, Yu Li stepped out from behind Bo Jingmo, gently using her sleeve to wipe the blood from his hand. The man lowered his head, letting her do as she pleased, the killing aura gone. He leaned down and nuzzled her cheek, lids drooping, looking utterly docile, completely bewitched. Yu Li stroked his face, tilted her head up and kissed him. Good job. She gave Old Wei a sidelong glance, laughing lightly with mockery. Wei Kaifen, too bad you're late. Old Wei's face turned black as coal. He crushed the straw doll in his hand, bits falling to the floor. His eyes burned with fury. You Banks, you're completely beyond saving. I swear I'll make sure your soul is annihilated. The woman raised an eyebrow, gaze sweeping over the others behind him. She chuckled lowly, her laughter echoing in the room. Oh really? I'll be waiting. Just a second before Old Wei struck, Yu Li and Bo Jingmo vanished from the room entirely, leaving behind only Ji Sun's corpse on the cold floor. Guangran asked anxiously, what do we do now? What else? Old Wei turned his head with a grim tone, his gaze sweeping coldly over the three of them. Ji Sun is dead. We'll have to pick another offering. Chi Mai stepped forward voluntarily. I'll do it. He looked at Ji Sun on the floor, eyes somber. Either way, we're dead. Better me than everyone else. Chi Ji, Guangran reached out and grabbed his arm, her worry not at all in act. She didn't trust the ghost woman completely. What if something went wrong? That ghost had killed Ji Sun without hesitation. It showed how cold she truly was. If something else went sideways, they could easily be abandoned. Chi Mai patted the back of her hand. It's fine. Old Wei gave Chi Mai a few extra looks. This one's soul body should be quite strong. Maybe not as powerful as Bo Jingmo, but with proper refining, he could still be useful. Fine then. He didn't have time to argue. Waving them along, he said urgently, there's no time to waste. Come with me. The ritual starts tonight. That ghost already had Bo Jingmo, she was trouble enough. And now, Ji Sun too? She'd be even harder to deal with. Their plan was in motion. The three exchanged looks, their eyes filled with emotions only they understood. For now, they could only follow the ghost's plan. It wasn't until now that Wei Kaifen realized just how bad things had gotten. He usually had the villagers help him prepare the ritual space. Just as he was about to tell Chen Daxai to go get people, he opened the bedroom door only to find Chen Chang and Chen Daxai already dead. Their bodies were ice cold. They'd been dead for a while. Wei Kaifen's eyes narrowed. A bad feeling surged in his chest, and he rushed to check the other villagers' quarters. But when he opened the door, the floor was soaked in blood and littered with corpses. His feet froze instantly. The stench of blood hit everyone's noses. Corpses were strewn everywhere like the aftermath of a massacre. Each villager had the same expression, faces pale, eyes wide in terror, pupils constricted. That ghost had already killed all the villagers, without anyone noticing. How the hell did she do it? At this point, panic began to rise uncontrollably in Wei Kaifen's heart. His hand trembled as it clutched the doorframe. Since when was Yu Banks this strong? Or, had she been hiding it all along? His breathing quickened. He turned to Guangran and Yi Xian. You two, help me prepare. The two girls froze, then quickly lowered their heads. Okay. Midnight was approaching, but none of them dared show a hint of fatigue. Wei Kaifen, now over 70, obviously wasn't as quick as the young ones. He had Chi Mai move a table into the courtyard, then had Yi Xian and Guangran fetch the bowls and incense. He carefully placed the divine statue from the altar onto the table. He placed the straw doll and a bundle of cut black hair into a porcelain bowl, wrapped a string of bells around it, then took a red thread and tied up Chi Mai's body. Using red-colored liquid, he began drawing strange runes across Chi Mai's skin. He set the porcelain bowl on the table. Guangran glanced at the contents inside and asked casually, are these both related to the ghost? Old Wei, focused on the runes, answered offhandedly, yes. Once the ritual is complete, with my immortal's blessing, that ghost is as good as dead. Don't touch anyth. He looked up mid-sentence, only to see Guangran already holding the bowl and lifting out its contents. She even blinked innocently at him. Old Wei. Wei Kaifan thought he must be out of his mind. Otherwise, why would he let these outsiders help? The moment he saw Guangran pull something out of the bowl, he instantly stood up and rushed forward to snatch it back, put that down. But Chi Mai, who had been tied up in front of him, suddenly broke free, grabbed his wrist, and pinned him firmly to the ground. 70-something-year-old Wei Kaifan's old bones creaked, a mouthful of blood nearly spewed out, his eyes full of disbelief. What the hell are these people doing? His expression turned ugly as he shouted, what are you doing? Let me go? Don't you want to get rid of the female ghost? Guangran placed the item from the bowl over the candle flame. Firelight flickered on her petite face, making her look somewhat indifferent. Wei Kaifan, we already know what happened in this village. Wei Kaifan froze for a moment, then suddenly burst into laughter after realizing something. Did that female ghost tell you? Guangran frowned at his reaction. Then Wei Kaifan sneered, that female ghost slaughtered the whole village. You really think if you help her, she'll let you go? Even so, does that mean I should help you? Chi Mai spoke coldly, you're doing a ritual that requires human sacrifices, how could that possibly be a good thing? These players were caught in the middle, unable to move forward or back, and could only choose to side with whoever seemed more trustworthy. Old Wei tugged at the corner of his mouth and muttered lowly, you'll regret this. Guangran held the item over the flame until it burned to ashes, but the courtyard remained eerily silent. Yuli and Bo Jingmo were still nowhere to be seen. Was the mission done? The night wind howled through, and the red fabric in the yard began rustling again, sounding especially jarring in the quiet night. The item had burned. Logically, the ghost should be at peace now, but the system in her mind still hadn't issued a mission completion notice. So what went wrong? Guanggran's gaze shifted to Wei Kaifan lying on the ground. Could it be they needed him dead to complete the task? After all, to eliminate the female ghost's resentment, they had to kill everyone she hated. She picked up the knife from the table and hesitantly walked toward Wei Kaifan. Seeing her approach with the knife, Wei Kaifan didn't show a hint of fear. Instead, he wore a cold sneer, kill me, and you'll regret it. Guangran hesitated, holding the knife, and looked at Chi Mai beside her. Chi Ji, do you think? Chi Mai had never dealt with this kind of situation before. Logically, shouldn't the mission be done already? Why was the system still silent? Yi Xian, watching her dawdle, impatiently snatched the knife from her and snapped, what's there to hesitate about? Clearly the ghost's wish isn't fulfilled. Wei Kaifan is still alive, right? Maybe killing him will complete the mission. With that, she swiftly slashed Wei Lao's throat. She was so fast that Guangran didn't even have time to react. By the time she saw Wei Lao stop breathing, she just stood there in a daze. Her lips moved. She opened her mouth, just about to say something. But at that moment, a surprised female voice suddenly rang out behind her. Oh dear, you've really stirred up trouble now. They turned to see Yuli, who had been hiding all this time, now standing in the courtyard. Behind her stood Bo Jingmo, one dressed in red, the other in black, two striking figures in the night. The woman gave them a sweeping glance, her eyes flickering slightly as she slowly stepped forward and brushed the ashes on the table with her fingertips. I forgot to remind you, Wei Kaifan was a believer of the evil spirit. His body and soul had long been bound to it. By killing him, you basically fed the last drop of heart's blood to that thing. With that, the woman raised her hand to cover her mouth, her willow leaf brow slightly furrowed in apparent distress, but her tone carried a hint of schadenfreude. How unfortunate. That monster's about to be released now. Guanggran's expression changed drastically. Why didn't you say so earlier? Why wait until they killed him to say this? Yuli lifted her eyelids, the corners of her mouth subtly curling beneath her sleeve. Her voice was ambiguous. Didn't you notice? I never laid a hand on Wei Kaifan? I thought you all figured it out. The moment she said that, everyone realized something was wrong. They'd assumed the female ghost was being restrained, which was why she hadn't attacked. But she'd killed so many villagers, clearly not weak. She'd had plenty of chances to kill Wei Kaifan, but never harmed him. So this was why. Guangran strongly suspected it was all intentional. But if the evil spirit was released, then she herself would also. Once that evil thing is out, I won't be able to stop it. I won't be able to protect you. That sentence suddenly echoed in her mind. Guanggran's pupils shrank, her mind went blank, blood seemed to rush in reverse, her already pale face turned ghostly white, heart sinking like a stone into a lake. The female ghost only said she couldn't protect them. That meant she and Bo Jingmo could completely avoid the creature. But these players would die by its hand. So that's what Wei Kaifan meant? Guanggran's eyes filled with disbelief. That ghost had twisted her words? She lunged at Yuli, grabbing her sleeve, her rage plain as day. You Banksu, what the hell do you mean? You're using us and tossing us aside. Bo Jingmo was about to stop her, but Yuli raised her hand and gently motioned him back. Looking at the furious Guanggran in front of her, she lightly raised her brow and laughed. So what if I am? Under Guanggran's shocked gaze, the woman calmly pulled her sleeve free, her tone light and carefree. I never forced you to trust me. You believed ghost talk. She just openly admitted it. In that moment, Guangran finally realized how terrifying this ghost truly was. No wonder, no wonder. She even dared to kill Bo Jingmo. How could she possibly spare them? It was like all the strength drained from her body. Guangran slackened, eyes unfocused, and collapsed to the ground. Why? She looked up at the stunningly beautiful woman before her, tears brimming at the corners of her red eyes. Her voice was choked with confusion, pain, and an almost imperceptible plea. We were innocent. Why push us all to our deaths? She knelt on the ground, clutching Yu Li's skirt with trembling, pale fingertips, her voice cracking with sobs. You helped those dead girls, so why not help us? Why must we die? How are you any different from those villagers? The woman in red froze. She lowered her eyes, face emotionless, just silently staring down at Guangran on the ground, not saying a word. At the same time, the cursed item on the table began to tremble faintly, as if something was starting to emerge. A baby's wail echoed faintly through the courtyard. Fresh blood trickled out from beneath the red cloth, giving off a putrid stench. As it touched the table, it evaporated instantly into a red mist thick with killing aura, slowly spreading throughout the yard. Yi Xian accidentally inhaled some of it. Her face changed instantly as she bent over, coughing violently on her knees, clutching her throat in horror, eyes full of panic. This gas, it felt like it was corroding her organs. Chi Mai, who was nearby, also inhaled the gas. He collapsed to the ground with a muffled groan, face ashen. Seeing the scene grow more and more dangerous, Guanggran's eyes filled with panic as she scrambled toward Chi Mai. Suddenly, Bo Jingmo's calm voice sounded in her ear. She did all this for me. Bo Jingmo took the woman's cold hand and lowered his head, explaining to Guanggran in a calm voice, my soul is too weak. She wants to use your souls to nourish mine. After speaking, he gently held the person in his arms, lowered his head and kissed her ear softly, his voice tender, let them go, I know you don't really want to do this. The woman lifted her eyes to look at him, her gaze unreadable. Her voice was low, Bo Jingmo, if I help them, my soul will disappear. Bo Jingmo's expression softened as he let out a gentle laugh and coaxed her patiently, then I'll go with you. The memories of this world are too painful. Let's start over in our next life, okay? The woman pressed her lips together without answering, just tightened her grip on Bo Jingmo's wrist. She lowered her head to glance at Guanggran on the ground, then looked at Yi Xian and Chi Mai beside her. After a long silence, she finally spoke, Guanggran, I can agree to your request. Before Guanggran could even show a look of joy, they heard Yu Li suddenly say, but when you leave, go to Zhao Xu's house and take Zhao Meng with you. That long unmentioned name made Guanggran freeze. Zhao Meng? She's not dead. She looked up at Yu Li, but the woman had already turned and picked up the divine statue from the table. The foul blood ran down her pale wrist, soaking into her sleeve with a sizzling, burning sound. Red mist slowly enveloped her. Black mist began pouring from her body. Her once solid soul form was now becoming faint. She was using her own soul to absorb the evil aura of the cursed item. Yu Li lowered her head to look at Guanggran. Her face showed no emotion, her voice calm as she stated, I didn't kill Zhao Meng. She's innocent. So I hope you can take her away and give her a new life. In Yu Bangxiu's memories, Zhao Meng was actually a pitiful little girl too. Living in this mountain village, she had lived timidly and humbly. But she used to sneak food to Yu Bangxiu, bring her blankets at midnight, and even helped cover for her when Yu Bangxiu tried to escape. Yu Bangxiu didn't blame her. The dead girls had chosen to forgive her too. Yu Li respected their choice. But actually, there was another more important reason. Zhao Meng was the key to the players solving the mystery. They had forgotten this unremarkable little girl. But in truth, the story they wanted and the way to escape had all been tied to her. Yu Li had given them the chance, don't kill Wei Keifan, find Zhao Meng, and they could escape. Unfortunately, they chose the wrong path. Golden light rose in the east. The courtyard was bathed in afterglow. The ghost woman slowly turned into a translucent spirit form. As her body became more and more ethereal, she turned to Bo Jingmo, smiled gently, and reached out her hand. Bo Jingmo, I have to go. Bo Jingmo held her hand, lowered his head, and softly kissed the back of it, his actions filled with indescribable longing and love. I'll go with you. As dawn slowly broke, sunlight spilled onto the forest lake. The mist lingering above the water gradually dissipated. The fog curling around the mountains vanished overnight, like countless wandering souls finally set free, reborn in the morning light. The woman's red figure and Bo Jingmo disappeared from the courtyard together. The pitch-black divine statue fell to the ground with a clatter. Guanggran stared blankly at the fallen statue, her trembling hand reaching for it only for another hand to pick it up first. She looked up and saw Zhao Meng, who had been missing all this time. Zhao Meng looked down at the statue in her hand, her long bangs covering her eyes. She didn't say a word. She silently walked to the table, placed the statue over the candle flame. The fire shot up instantly, engulfing the entire statue. Zhao Meng slowly let go, her face expressionless. Her family was dead. The villagers were dead. Yet her expression looked faintly relieved. Just then, an old, obscure song suddenly played from her pocket. The familiar sound made all the players present jolt. Back on the bus, it was this very sound that had woken them up. Their pupils shrank, fists clenched. Why was Zhao Meng's phone still working? Zhao Meng pulled out her phone, looked down and pressed answer. After listening to the voice on the other end, she hung up and looked at them. Someone is already waiting for us at the village entrance. She paused and lowered her gaze. Sister Banks, you told me, if any of you are still alive, I should take you with me. She also said, everything that happened here, no one else will ever know. As soon as she finished speaking, the players' minds finally echoed with that familiar voice. Congratulations, player, mission complete, survival. In this instance, they had only completed the bare minimum, survival. They didn't uncover the mountain village's secret. They didn't dispel the ghost's resentment. Because from beginning to end, it was the ghost herself who had killed the villagers. As the system explained the plot, the village's history was laid bare. The ghost had not lied to them. The truth was exactly as she said. The tragedy of this village stemmed from Waycaven's greed. The only thing she had lied about was that last part. Banks had long since lost her faith in humanity. Trapped beneath the lake for years, her heart corroded by hatred day and night, she was no longer Banks, but the embodiment of all the girls' resentment. No one could redeem her. Only self-destruction or death could bring her any sense of safety. So she chose to kill Bojingmo. Only the companionship of death was true, eternal love. As the players walked away, the screen slowly faded to black. The audience finished watching. The film has ended. Thank you for watching. Please rate your favorite/least favorite characters. Who else thought all the players were going to die, and it turned out the ghost saved them? So the player's role was to help the ghost break her seal. And once it was broken, she sacrificed herself. The players didn't do much this time. Probably all newbies. Didn't even find the key NPC. Banks, you killed too fast one after another. The players were dumbfounded. 1 save for 3. Technically a win, but I still feel awful. Wrong. It's 2 saves for 3. Bojingmo went with the ghost. But it's not the same. Once the game ends, Bojingmo comes back. But the ghost, she's truly gone. I'm crying. This NPC may never know that her boyfriend was just a player who only stayed with her to complete the mission. Don't say that. Remember? After Bojingmo dies, he loses consciousness. That means everything he did was from the heart. He really gave her real love. We've beautiful sister still died. Is Bojingmo cursed? Every beautiful NPC he pairs with ends up dead. Let's not ship him with anyone anymore. I am breaking down. I only feel sad for the ghost. I can even forgive everything she did. She just wanted one sincere love. Wanted to avenge those girls. That old B***starred was the one who deserved to die most. Guess it's an open ending. Don't be too sad. At least the ghost and Bojingmo left together. She left with happiness in her heart. I hope they'll be okay. And in a room where no one was present, a woman was pinned against the wall, being kissed by a man. Her soft, slender waist was held firmly in his large hand. The corners of her fox-like eyes were tinged with a rosy flush, shimmering with moisture. She wrapped her arms around his neck and tilted her head up, accepting his feverish kisses. On the ground, scattered, were a red wedding dress. Yuli hadn't just fooled the audience and players, she also tricked the rating system. That evil spirit? It wasn't even worth mentioning to her. She had once used it as a literal handrest. How could a few drops of blood make it so powerful? Everything the others had witnessed was just a play she and Bojingmo had put on. The goal? To win over the audience's favor. And clearly, it worked. The air was thick with humid, steamy heat and an indescribable sweet scent. The smell on the woman's body was addictive to the man. His palm cradled the back of her head, breath ragged, eyes glowing with intensity, like he wanted to devour the person in his arms. Bojingmo lowered his gaze, kissing the woman's eyes, then moved to the nape of her neck, which was soaked with that rich fragrance like a wild dog marking its territory. Her inner garment had been pulled slightly aside, revealing a smooth, pale shoulder. Her jet black hair fell over it, making her skin look even more flawless, begging to be touched. She reached up and wrapped her arms around his neck, her eyes slightly narrowed. Her clothes half off, chin tilted up, her stunning, seductive beauty made her look like a fox spirit feeding off desire. Her fingers played with the ends of his hair, voice tender and breathy from their entanglement. Time's almost up. You're leaving soon. Bojingmo kissed the corner of her lips, covering her in kiss after kiss, filled with reluctant affection. His voice held a hint of grievance, but this is the only time we get to be alone. In the instance, it was always either the camera or other players around. He rarely had time alone with Lily. No choice, I'm a key NPC. Yuli leaned forward and kissed his cheek. I'll make it up to you next time, okay? She smiled and bit his earlobe playfully. Her red lips released a teasing breath, and there's still one more reward. I haven't given it to you yet. Bojingmo didn't say anything. He just held her tighter. Yuli leaned against his shoulder, turned her head to look at his side profile, her fingertip brushing over his Adam's apple, gently pressing with a teasing rhythm. Her voice was soft. Bojingmo, next time we meet, I don't want you to hide anything from me. If you act like you do with everyone else, I'll be mad. Got it? At her words, a flicker of panic crossed the man's face. He turned and kissed her cheek, trying to appease her. I won't. Don't be mad, Lily. Yuli paused, lazily lifted her eyelids, and glanced at him. Lily. She asked deliberately, who's that? Bojingmo. Bojingmo froze. He'd always remembered that Yuli hadn't regained her memory, so he'd been careful not to call her name in the instance. But just now, he'd accidentally blurted it out. After a brief silence, he lowered his head and nuzzled her face. It's you? Yuli let out a soft laugh, but before she could say anything, a voice echoed in her mind. Sister, it's time to go. At the same time, Bojingmo received the same message. A red glow flashed in his eyes. His cool lips pressed gently against her hair. His voice was slow but solemn. Next time, I'll come find you first. Yuli raised her brow and smiled at him. Sure. When she opened her eyes again, the familiar ceiling above her came into view. Yuli closed her eyes for a few seconds, then picked up her phone. Seeing she had class that afternoon, she turned off the screen and set it aside. She sat up. Her other two roommates had already gone to class. Only Muchensi was still in the dorm, though it looked like she was getting ready to head out too. Yuli didn't interact with her much. She ran a hand through her hair, ready to get out of bed, when Muchensi suddenly turned her head. Her eyes lingered on Yuli's face for a few seconds. Sleep well, Yuli? She nodded and smiled politely. Pretty good. Why? No reason, just checking in. Muchensi paused briefly while packing her bag, then casually asked, heard you're pretty close with Bo Jingmo? I saw him come looking for you last time. At that name, Yuli's movements paused. She got down from the bed, answering conventionally, I guess. Senior Bo's a nice guy. Muchensi's eyes flickered, and she just said oh without asking more. She picked up her bag and walked to the door. I'm heading out. Okay, bye. Yuli waved at her with a bright smile. As soon as the door closed, the smile disappeared from her face. She sat in her chair, lost in thought. Sister, what are you doing today? Yuli leaned on her desk, pointed at the textbooks on it, and raised a brow, prepping for class. She'd be teaching the day after tomorrow, so she needed to be ready ahead of time. She just didn't know what the kids would be like. Something seemed to cross her mind, and she paused for a moment. Speaking of kids, she seemed to have brought something back. The system then saw Yuli pull out a pitch-black object from who knows where. The little thing stood up slowly after being placed on the desk. It looked like a tiny shadow person. The little black shadow seemed to really like the scent on Yuli. Even after being placed on the desk, it wanted to climb back onto her hand. The system looked on curiously. Sister, what is that? Yuli pointed at the tiny shadow, resting her chin in her hand with a lazy tone, that evil spirit from the instance. Oh, so it's the Ev. Realizing something, the system's voice trailed off, and then its mechanical baby tone turned utterly shocked. Sister, you brought something from the instance back with you. It insisted on following me. Yuli glanced at the little thing on the desk and leaned back in her chair. Don't worry, I swapped it out with something else. No one will notice. She jerked her chin at the shadow, the corners of her lips curving up slightly. Mainly, I really like its abilities. It could release corrosive blood and gas might come in handy later. Seeing how curious the system looked, she patted its glowing orb. Also thought I'd find you a little companion. Outsiders can't see either of you. Yay. Hearing it was a new companion, the system instantly got excited. It didn't care anymore that it came from an instance. Since sister said it was fine, then it had to be. It floated onto the desk. The tiny shadow stirred when it saw the system, slowly scooting closer and extending a little black tendril to touch it. A ghost and a system, turns out they could actually get along. Yuli smiled at the sight, leaving them alone as she twirled a pen and mulled over the situation. She had seen Chima in the last instance at the bar, together with Senxiu. And based on the livestream comments, the game had various player teams. For example, Deva and Peace. The Peace team's style was obvious, lots of cooperation and support between teammates. Thinking of this, Yuli sighed and leaned into her chair. What a shame. That didn't match her style. As for Deva, Yuli's expression grew thoughtful. Her fingers spun the pen around. She didn't have the game system, so even if she knew about the teams, she couldn't get more info, so she needed to find a trustworthy player. Suddenly, her fingers paused. Yuli's brow arched, and she chuckled softly. Looks like, after all that circling around, she was going back to someone she already knew. Meanwhile, in a room painted with cold gray tones, a man slowly opened his eyes. He lay in bed for a moment, then picked up his phone to check his messages. When he saw that the pinned contact hadn't sent anything, his eyes dimmed slightly. Just then, his phone buzzed. But the moment he saw the contact note display Zhangxi, the light in Bo Jingmo's eyes dimmed instantly. Zhangxi, yesterday Ho Liang and I entered the same instance, didn't see you there, so I figured you'd split off from us. But still, congrats, looks like you leveled up again. Bo Jingmo gave a polite thanks in reply. The other party was probably used to his cold tone and continued messaging. Zhangxi, when we got in yesterday, Senxiu was there too. The three of us teamed up and cleared it pretty quickly. He asked if we were interested in joining a team. Heard it's called Peace. Might be good to work together in the future. Zhangxi, he also invited us to dinner tonight. Said a few of his friends would be there too. Thought I'd check if you want to come along, it's a good chance to share instance info. Bo Jingmo frowned after reading that. Senxiu had contacted him before, and he'd already turned him down. Just as he was about to politely decline the dinner invitation, a new message popped up, this time from Yuli. Yuli, senior, where's the little guy in the story now? I'm getting my lesson prepped. As soon as the message popped up, Bo Jingmo's hand moved faster than his brain and tapped into Yuli's chat window first. Bo Jingmo, I'm not sure either. I'll ask him when he gets back. He paused slightly, editing and trimming the message in the input box for a while before finally sending it. Bo Jingmo, sorry, since a few classmates of mine were there yesterday, dinner didn't exactly go well. Let me make it up to you tonight, okay? After sending that, Bo Jingmo felt a little nervous, staring at the screen without even blinking. Yuli, on the other hand, raised her eyebrows slightly and chuckled softly, leaning her head on her hand. Yuli, it's okay by the way, does senior know what the little guy likes? I'm thinking of getting him a small gift when we meet. For that kid? Bo Jingmo frowned, ready to say it wasn't necessary, but then something seemed to cross his mind. A glint flashed in his eyes. Bo Jingmo, I usually take him to a certain mall to shop. Want to go there tonight? I need to grab some stuff anyway and was planning to head over. The reply came quickly. Yuli, sure. Thanks, senior. I'll message you after class this afternoon. Bo Jingmo, okay. Looking at their chat log, the man couldn't help but curl his lips slightly. Meanwhile, Zhangxi had also received Bo Jingmo's reply. Bo Jingmo, no, I've already got plans tonight. Elsewhere, in a room with the curtains drawn, thick drapes blocked out all the sunlight. Suddenly, the phone on the table vibrated slightly. The girl glanced at it, picked it up, and answered in silence. A male voice quickly came from the other end. Is this Miss Yi Xian? Someone saw the info you submitted and would like to meet you. Yi Xian froze, then lowered her eyes and said quietly, why? Was there something wrong with what I wrote? I've always filled it out like that. Or, is it because Ji-sun died? The man's tone didn't change, the same monotonous, formulaic voice as before. It's not about Ji-sun. We noticed you wrote the name Bo Jingmo on the form. You ran into him in an instance, didn't you? Hearing that name, she paused. The man's voice came through again. So we just wanted to ask you a few questions about Bo Jingmo. Truth be told, Yi Xian didn't know much about Deva. She and Ji-sun had met in a beginner instance. It was Ji-sun who first suggested teaming up, and they worked so well together that they always completed the script perfectly. As soon as they exited the beginner instance, their rankings shot to the top. After that, they received an invitation from Deva. Deva offered great perks if you joined their team. Experienced seniors would guide you when entering the instance world. Once you passed the test, you'd get monthly points, skill upgrades, and opportunities to team up with elite veterans. Eventually, if you died in an instance, the team might even help you revive, depending on the situation. Most games had this kind of guild system, but Yi Xian hadn't expected it to exist inside instance worlds too. She and Ji-sun were both newbies, and with such a strong team and attractive benefits, they naturally said yes. The first few instances went smoothly thanks to the seniors. But the last one was supposed to be their final test. If they passed that, they'd become official members. Unfortunately, Ji-sun died. Standing outside the designated building, Yi Xian was ushered into the elevator. She cautiously sized up the man in front of her. He had a lean figure, wore a well-fitted black suit, and had a sharp profile. His monolid eyes carried a world-weary look. His face was expressionless. As if sensing her gaze, the man turned slightly and spoke in the same voice she'd heard over the phone, completely deadpan. Nice to meet you. I'm Rong Fan. Yi Xian, nice to meet me? Really? She couldn't quite tell. She lowered her eyes and softly asked, why do you want to know about Bo Jingmo? My suggestion is, it's best not to ask too many questions. With a soft ding, the elevator doors slid open. Rong Fan stepped out first, glancing back at Yi Xian. Next, someone will question you in the room. Yi Xian paused, then hurried to follow him out. Rong Fan led her to a conference room and gently knocked on the door. A female voice answered from inside, come in. When the door opened, she saw a man and a woman sitting inside. Yi Xian recognized the man. It was her former mentor, Su-hee. But the woman. Yi Xian subtly observed her. She looked to be in her early 30s, exuding elegance and intelligence. She seemed approachable yet knew exactly where to draw the line. The woman smiled and gestured for her to sit. Miss Yi, please sit. I'm Yu Jiao, head of Deva. Nervously, Yi Xian sat down, clutching her clothes. What do you want to ask me about? Yu Jiao adjusted her glasses and spoke gently. We saw on your report that you encountered Bo Jingmo in your last instance. We've recently taken an interest in him, so we invited you here. Yi Xian blinked. Deva had this odd rule where every member had to fill out a questionnaire after completing an instance listing players and a brief summary of the script. So, this is how they used it? Noticing Yi Xian's unease, Yu Jiao handed her a glass of water and smiled. No need to be nervous. You've passed our test. You're one of us now, part of the Deva family. Family, huh? Yi Xian lowered her eyes, not saying much. She just replied softly, I don't know much about Bo Jingmo either. He doesn't work with others. Always goes solo. Toward the end, he even teamed up with the female ghost. I know. Yu Jiao set the report down, laced her fingers together, and asked, you wrote in the report that Bo Jingmo turned into a ghost later and tricked the others with the NPC, is that right? Yi Xian hesitated, then shook her head, I'm not sure. But he did listen to the female ghost a lot. He said his role was, her boyfriend. At those words, a flicker of surprise flashed in Rong Fan's eyes behind her. Yu Jiao also paused, then smiled, is that so? That's a pretty unique role. So did he kill Ji-sun on her orders? Anything else unusual? Yi Xian thought carefully, I don't think so. All right. Thank you for your help. Yu Jiao extended her hand lightly. Welcome to Deva. Yi Xian quickly shook it. Thank you. Just then, someone else pushed the door open. Sorry I'm late. It was a young woman, pretty and refined, with light, natural makeup. Her eyes swept over Yi Xian, then she sat down casually and said, so this is the one who ran into Bo Jingmo. If Yuli were here, she would have recognized this girl instantly. her roommate Mu Chenxi. Yi Xian froze when she saw who entered. This is. Yu Jiao introduced, this is Mu Chenxi, one of Deva's veteran members. Yi Xian glanced once and then looked away, quickly standing up. If there's nothing else, I'll be heading out. Yu Jiao smiled, all right. Rong Fan, please see Miss Yi out. Rong Fan stepped forward, come on, I'll walk you out. As Rong Fan led her out, Mu Chenxi withdrew her gaze. So, did you get anything out of her? Yu Jiao pushed the report on the table toward her. Bo Jingmo has apparently had a few contacts with the Peace Team's junior members. We were a bit late. Peace is probably already planning to invite him to collaborate. Mu Chenxi picked it up and flipped through it casually. Her eyes paused on one line, after Bo Jingmo became a ghost, he killed Ji Sun. Peace probably won't take in someone like that. Bo Jingmo's bloodlust already became notorious in the beginner instance. His two teammates are probably more likely to catch Peace's eye. Yu Jiao nodded in agreement and chuckled. Luckily, it's not too late. The situation just turned out different than we expected. Initially, we thought that once Bo Jingmo turned into a ghost, his dark impulses would get amplified, and he'd go on a killing spree. But now, Yi Xian says he listens to the NPC. Listens to the NPC? A player listening to an NPC. Mu Chenxi raised an eyebrow. That's wild. That part needs further investigation. We'll assign someone to team up with Yi Xian in the next instance. We need to get more information on Bo Jingmo and build a connection to keep observing him. Yu Jiao looked to the man beside her. Su-He, you've teamed with Yi Xian a few times. She trusts you. You go next time. Su-He gave a slight nod. Got it. Rong Fan returned just then from escorting Yi Xian out. Seeing everyone was present, Yu Jiao tapped the table. There's one more thing. I heard Bo Jingmo admitted that the female ghost is his girlfriend. She flipped to the section about the mountain village instance, narrowing her eyes. Some of our other members have entered that instance before, and that identity has never come up. Rong Fan added from the side, it's either hidden plot content, or Bo Jingmo made it up himself. Mu Chenxi looked surprised. He can make up identities. Yu Jiao's eyes flickered with something unreadable. She adjusted her glasses and smiled faintly, the meaning behind her expression unclear. Of course he can. The system never said you couldn't. But the premise is he has to fool the audience and the other players. After all, that person used to do the same thing all the time, and made fools out of everyone. She gathered her things and stood up. That's all for now. I'll submit this report to the higher UPS. Mu Chenxi had originally come to report Bo Jingmo's recent activity at school, but after seeing all this, she opened her mouth then silently swallowed her words. Forget it, she'd keep watching a bit longer. After class in the evening, Yu Li walked out of the teaching building and messaged Bo Jingmo to say she was done. But the moment she looked up, she saw him already waiting downstairs. Autumn had arrived. The boy wore a black windbreaker that made his tall figure even more striking. Paired with his cool, ink-like brows and eyes, just standing there, he drew every gaze. She put away her phone and walked over quickly. Senior, did you have class this afternoon too? Bo Jingmo paused, then replied vaguely, hungry? Let's eat first, then shop. Yu Li walked with him, then chuckled, Senior, every time you call me out it's for food. I feel like I'm becoming your dining companion. She glanced at her phone. It's still early, let's shop a bit first. Okay. Bo Jingmo couldn't help glancing at the girl's profile, his gaze falling on her smiling eyes. Ever since he realized the NPC from the instance was Yu Li, it felt like every little detail matched up. Buckle fastened, he asked casually, did you sleep well last night? Yu Li's hand paused over her phone. A familiar question, someone had asked her the same thing that morning. She looked up. Pretty well. Why are you suddenly asking? The car started to move. Bo Jingmo smiled lightly. No reason. I've just been dreaming a lot lately. I usually forget them after waking up. Thought I'd ask if you've had that happen too. I see. Yu Li pretended to think for a few seconds before answering. It's not too bad, I guess. I might remember right after waking up, but then forget it soon after. She glanced at the man driving and spoke pointedly, judging by your tone, you didn't want to forget that dream? Sounds like it was a good one. At that, the man chuckled but didn't respond. As they waited at a red light, he finally turned to look at her. Their eyes met in the air. Yu Li froze slightly when she met his gaze. Those usually indifferent eyes were now full of warmth, the sharp lines of his face softening. His eyes curved gently, brimming with pure joy. He said, yeah, it was a good dream. The red light turned green. Bo Jingmo looked forward again, but the corner of his mouth still held a slight smile. Hands on the wheel, he chuckled softly. Might be the best dream I've had in over 20 years. Hearing that, Yu Li lowered her gaze without a word. After a while, she let out a faint laugh. Really? That's good, then. She turned her head, staring out the window. Her expression wasn't as joyful as Bo Jingmo's, there was a heaviness to it. Sis, what's wrong? The system sensed something off in her mood and asked with concern. Yu Li leaned back in her seat and closed her eyes, replying in her heart, it's nothing. Just remembering some things from before. Hearing Bo Jingmo describe his dream so happily, she couldn't help but think of their past life. Even after they left the psychiatric hospital and built a life together, Bo Jingmo was never truly cured. Countless late nights, the man would hug her tightly from behind, burying her in his arms, crimson eyes filled with panic, cold sweat beading on his forehead. He'd press his face into the hollow of her neck, arms tightening bit by bit like he was clinging to safety, his voice trembling, lost and afraid. Lily, I dreamed of them again. I saw them again, and I killed again. I couldn't control it. I'm not normal. I still kill people. She'd barely gotten any sleep, woken several times in the first half of the night. Opening her eyes, she turned on the bedside lamp, then slowly turned around and wrapped her arms around his neck. Bo Jingmo, rub my waist. She spoke lazily, not caring at all about his emotional state. Honestly, she didn't even need to say it. The man's hand had already instinctively moved to massage her, his warm palm pressing on her soft waist, moving expertly. Yuli kissed his cheek. Still dreaming about those faceless people. Yeah. Bo Jingmo mumbled against her scent. Lily, maybe I'm just not meant to live a normal life. I'll just drag you down. Yuli looked at him with lidded eyes and replied casually, then you won't be able to do this back at the hospital. It's too crowded. But if you're really worried, we can go back tomorrow. Bo Jingmo. His arms suddenly tightened. We're not going back. Yuli couldn't help but let out a soft laugh. She stroked his face and leaned in to kiss the corner of his mouth. Bo Jingmo, what others say doesn't matter as much as what I say, right? The man leaned in obediently. Right. Yuli pushed against his shoulder, eyes curved. Good. Then don't listen to what they say. If you dream about them again, just kill them all. Her fingertips brushed his crimson eyes, and she leaned up to kiss him gently. It's okay. I told you to kill them. That way, it wouldn't be considered abnormal. Because you were just obeying your girlfriend. In his past life, Bo Jingmo was constantly plagued by bloody, terrifying nightmares, with episodes happening very frequently. And Yu Li's solution had always been simple and straightforward, using an adult method to distract him. And as it turned out, it worked pretty well. But before he met Yu Li, Bo Jingmo said he'd already had this kind of nightmare many times. And sometimes, they weren't just violent or gory. There would be people in his dreams who mocked and belittled him, deliberately degrading his very existence, insulting his actions and his abnormal abilities. Yet those same people in the dreams would push him into breaking down, telling him to hold back while setting him up to lose control and kill. So in his past life, Bo Jingmo had very few dreams that were normal or happy. Which is why, when she heard him say he had a good dream, Yu Li felt a bit dazed. It was like something was stuck in her chest or pressing on it. She didn't know what to say. Her heart filled with a helpless sort of amusement, and a faint ache. The system could already sense Yu Li's bad mood, let alone Bo Jingmo, who had noticed something was off with her the moment they were in the car. But seeing her resting with her eyes closed, he didn't say anything to disturb her. Even after they got into the mall, he couldn't help but purse his lips and ask, are you a little carsick? Yuli had been looking at the stores around them and didn't immediately get why Bo Jingmo was suddenly asking that. Turning to meet his gaze, she realized he must have noticed her unusual behavior in the car. She paused, then gave a soft laugh. No, you drive really smoothly. When you mentioned dreams, I think I remembered a bit of mine from last night too. Now it was Bo Jingmo's turn to freeze. He stood there, stiff, emotions swirling in his eyes, his voice husky and low. You remembered. Not the details, Yuli smiled at him. Just that it was, probably a good dream too. The man looked stunned for a moment, but then the corners of his lips lifted slightly. That's good. As long as it was a good dream. Bo Jingmo took Yuli to the store he'd checked out in advance. The moment they walked in, the staff welcomed them warmly. Hello, welcome. What are you two looking for today? The toys in this shop were mostly custom-made and quite pricey. Yuli had already spotted the shocking prices on the sign by the door. It felt like her paycheck was already gone before she even started working. Not that she was stingy about money, but she wasn't just here to buy a gift for the kid today. She looked around, just about to speak, when the man next to her beat her to it. I already placed an order this morning. Both Yuli and the store clerk were momentarily surprised. Then the clerk's eyes lit up with recognition. You're Mr. Bo, right? I've already prepared your order. She quickly went behind the counter and brought out a beautifully wrapped box, handing it to him. Here's the gift you ordered this morning. Bo Jingmo gestured toward the gift in his hand and said to Yuli, lips pressed together, you can just give him this. To most people, that would seem kind of rude. Yuli had come here specifically to choose a gift for the kid, but Bo Jingmo had taken it upon himself to buy one already without even asking for her opinion. Bo Jingmo knew it was a bit out of line too, but by the time he realized it, he'd already made the call and ordered it. He didn't like Yuli spending her time and energy on people who didn't matter. Seeing her staring at him, his hand holding the gift tightened slightly. He was about to give the explanation he'd already come up with, when Yu Li's eyes curved and she let out a laugh. She teased, Senior, if this keeps up, that money you transferred me barely got warm before I'm handing it right back. Seeing she wasn't mad, Bo Jingmo breathed a silent sigh of relief and smiled. It's fine. Just count it toward your future salary. Yu Li took the gift box and raised her eyebrows. Deal. You really helped me out. Picking gifts is seriously not my thing. No questions, no irritation, just a compliment instead. Bo Jingmo's mood visibly lifted. The corners of his lips tugged up slightly. Seeing it wasn't time for dinner yet, he was just about to suggest they look around some more when the girl spoke up slowly. But, what I'm buying next, you're not allowed to help. Bo Jingmo paused. Buying something else? He followed Yu Li to the entrance of another store and glanced up at the sign. You're buying perfume. At some point, the gift bag had naturally ended up back in Bo Jingmo's hand. Yuli, now empty-handed, stepped into the store and asked the clerk something in a low voice. Then she turned and smiled at him. Yep. It's also for someone else. The clerk led Yuli to a display counter. Just as she was about to introduce the products, Yuli politely declined. It's okay. We'll just look around. You can go help the other customers. The clerk blinked, glanced at Bojingmo following behind, and thought to herself, what a good-looking couple. Still, she smiled politely. Of course. Just let me know if you need anything. Bojingmo watched as the girl picked up scent strips, testing one after another against her nose. Worried about mixing up the scents, she paused between each sample. Her lashes hung low, and her face was full of patience and focus. Bojingmo found himself staring, but at the same time, another thought crept into his mind. Who was the perfume for? He stepped a bit closer and asked casually, is it for a friend's birthday or something? Yuli had been testing a fragrance and looked up when she heard him. No, she seemed to catch a scent she liked. Her eyes curved slightly, and she sprayed a little on her wrist. While the perfume settled, she explained, it's for the friend I mentioned before, the one I told you about. Mentioned before? They hadn't met that many times. What friend? Suddenly, something clicked in Bojingmo's mind. A memory surfaced vividly. You had a crush on someone in the game. Yeah, I still like them. But we've never met offline. No idea when we will. So, this perfume was for that online friend she'd never met? They were finally going to meet in person? Or, were they already together? The thought made Bojingmo's pupils shrink. A wave of panic surged in his chest, like his heart was being squeezed, making it hard to breathe. For a second, his mind went dizzy. By the time he snapped out of it, Yuli had already picked the perfume and gone to the counter to pay. Bojingmo wanted to follow, but it felt like his feet were rooted to the floor, like vines had wrapped around them. He couldn't move. All he could do was watch her walk back, holding the bag. His eyes dropped to her hand. His expression turned shadowed. When he finally spoke, his voice was hoarse and layered with something he couldn't quite define. His fingers gripped the gift bag so hard they turned white. This is, for that online friend of yours. He hadn't even let Yuli choose a gift for that kid. But now, she'd personally picked one out for that man? Yuli followed his gaze and smiled. Yeah, you're going to meet him, the man asked quickly, walking step by step toward them, his voice carrying a faint, barely noticeable panic. When? You already made plans. His eyes were locked on the girl's face, terrified he'd see shyness or anticipation there. Bojingmo's heart was pounding wildly, his fingers trembling, and it was hard to maintain his usual composure. He didn't want to think about the worst possible outcome. But right now, Bojingmo still couldn't stop his mind from spiraling, flooded with images of Yuli gently linking arms with another man, calling his name sweetly. Why? Why him? Why did he get to be liked by Yuli? Why did he get to have Yuli? If it really turned out like that, he would destroy their meeting at all costs. No, Bojingmo thought, expressionless. He would kill that man with his own hands. As long as Yuli didn't find out, it'd be fine. In just a few seconds, Bojingmo had already imagined countless ways to assassinate someone. But the next second, the girl's voice instantly sent an icy chill through him, like falling to the bottom of a frozen lake, suffocated and weak, trembling all over. He heard her slowly say, but, I've already met him. That one sentence shattered all his thoughts. He lowered his head in disbelief, eyes dazed as he met the girl's gaze. Already met? Bojingmo's Adam's apple bobbed, his tongue tasting like it was holding some sour and bitter candy. He couldn't swallow it, but couldn't spit it out either. He lowered his eyes, the darkness in them deepening, his throat working up and down, lips barely parting, voice already hoarse beyond recognition. You already met him. Just a short sentence, but he said it with great difficulty, each word feeling like it was chewed up and spit out, thick with indescribable bitterness. So they had met, and that's why she was thinking of buying a gift. Then what was the point of everything he was doing now? Bojingmo clenched his fists, scattered strands of hair casting shadows over his face, lips pressed tightly, jawline taut like he was holding something back. No one knew how much time passed before a low chuckle escaped his throat. He slowly lowered his gaze toward the girl, his expression gentle as always, lips curling in a soft smile. Well, that's nice. So what kind of person is he? Is he still around here? Yuli looked at him quietly for several seconds. Suddenly, she raised her wrist toward him. Senior, do you think this scent smells good? Bojingmo's pupils shrank, and he instinctively wanted to refuse. He was afraid that the calm he worked so hard to maintain would collapse all at once, exposing the jealousy burning inside. But the girl moved too suddenly, and he had no time to dodge. Honestly, deep down, he didn't want to. Then, a familiar pine fragrance filled his nose. Bojingmo froze. This was the scent of the cologne he used. Maybe it came from a gift someone else gave her before, or maybe she just happened to smell it at a store. Every time he smelled this scent, he'd be a little dazed, and the chaos in his mind would settle a bit. He didn't know exactly when it started, but Bojingmo had gone from being curious about the scent, to genuinely liking it. Still, something always felt off. Like something was missing. His heart felt hollow, never fully satisfied. But now this scent was on the girl's wrist, mixed with her own sweet fragrance. Bojingmo's thoughts scattered. He instinctively grabbed her wrist. The missing piece in his heart felt like it had been filled. The part he had been searching for all along. It felt like he'd found it. Bojingmo held his breath, staring blankly at Yuli, not understanding why she had chosen this scent. A flood of images flashed through his mind in an instant. It felt like a string had been gently plucked, making his heart ache, bringing up emotions he couldn't name. His pupils contracted, but before he could think more about this sudden wave of emotion, he heard a familiar voice from outside the shop. Buying perfume as a gift. I mean, I don't really know what students like these days, but perfume shouldn't go wrong. Since it's the first meeting, gotta leave a good impression, right? Alright then, don't keep people waiting too long. The voice was very familiar. Both of them turned to look, only to lock eyes with the three people walking in. Then, all five of them froze in place. Sen Xiu's eyes widened in shock. Then, scratching his head, he greeted awkwardly, wow, what a coincidence. You guys here for perfume too? Yuli, Bojingmo, why did they always run into these people? Realizing Sen Xiu's gaze was circling around her, Yuli suddenly became aware that their current pose was a bit suggestive. She had reached out her hand, and Bojingmo was holding her wrist and sniffing it, their bodies quite close, the pose quite intimate. Other people might mistake them for a couple, but Sen Xiu knew the truth about their relationship. Yuli subtly swept her gaze across the two people standing next to him. She gently tugged her wrist and quietly reminded Bojingmo, they're watching? The man furrowed his brows but slowly let go of her hand. He glanced at Sen Xiu and the others, replying coolly, already finished buying. Haha, got it. Sen Xiu gave an awkward laugh, glancing between them. He wasn't too sure what exactly the relationship was between Bojingmo and Yuli, things just seemed complicated. There was this indescribable atmosphere around them. Thinking of what happened earlier today, he looked at Bojingmo. Did Zhangxi talk to you this morning about having dinner together tonight? I was thinking of pulling them into the team. Heard you guys used to be in the same squad, wanna join us? No need. I already said no. Bojingmo lifted his eyelids with a bored look. He suddenly found Sen Xiu incredibly dense. Didn't he see there was already someone standing next to him? Meeting Bojingmo's cold stare, Sen Xiu finally realized Yuli was still right there. It's just, he always had this illusion that Yuli was a player too, and totally forgot she was just a normal person. He quickly gave a couple of nervous laughs, replying, right, okay then, I'll go grab the stuff we reserved. With that, he walked off to the counter. The two people next to him hesitated but still greeted them. Bojingmo, do you still remember us? Chi Mai smiled, thanks again for what you did in that instance. The man replied coldly and flatly, no need to thank me. I don't remember anything after that anyway. Chi Mai instantly looked a bit awkward. Ha ha ha, right, fair enough. Wow, he really wasn't easy to approach. He instinctively turned to look at Guangran, only to find her eyes fixed steadily to the side. Or more accurately, she was staring directly at the girl standing next to Bojingmo. He followed her gaze, and when he saw Yuli's face, he frowned slightly, a strange sense of familiarity creeping over him. Was that the girl from the bar last time? Actually, Chi Mai had a bit of face blindness. He wasn't great at recognizing people. He just vaguely felt Yuli looked familiar. Sensing the awkward vibe, his brain short-circuited a bit, and he let out a goofy laugh. President Bo, is this your girlfriend? She's really pretty, ha ha ha. The air went even more silent. Sen Xiu, who had just returned with the stuff, FK, forgot this guy's face blindness. Sen Xiu quickly looked over at the two people across from him. Bojingmo didn't really react. He only lifted his gaze and glanced lightly at Chi Mai. Too weird? He actually saw a hint of approval in Bojingmo's eyes. Sen Xiu couldn't believe it. Yuli, on the other hand, laughed softly when she heard that. You got it wrong, he's my senior. Ah, I see. Chi Mai's face grew even more awkward. Sorry. It's okay. She looked down at her phone, then turned to Bojingmo. Senior, should I wait for you outside? Bojingmo shook his head. No need. Let's go together. There's nothing more to say. Watching the two of them leave, Guanggran's eyes showed a thoughtful expression. She asked Sen Xiu, that girl, is she also a player? Sen Xiu walked up to them and shook his head. Probably not. I didn't sense any system presence on her. I even mentioned instances in front of her on purpose before. She didn't seem to know anything about them. Could she be a high-level player? Using an item to hide her system, Guanggran suggested. After all, high-level players had more privileges and were more mysterious. It makes sense if she didn't want to reveal her identity. Probably not, right? Sen Xiu thought back to the first time he met Yuli. He had thought she looked a lot like Qingli from the instance. Even if she were high-level, it's impossible for her to turn into an NPC from the instance, right? Seeing Guanggran still staring at Yuli, Sen Xiu asked, a bit confused, you saw her in an instance before? No, never saw her. Guanggran withdrew her gaze and walked with them. She just really resembles an NPC I encountered. Hearing that, Sen Xiu froze in place, looking shocked. You too? At first, Guanggran didn't get it. What? What do you mean her too? Sen Xiu looked like he had just found a kindred spirit. Oh god, someone else felt the same way? He excitedly shared. I met an NPC in an instance who looked kinda like her too. You know that feeling, right? Like, at first glance it's really similar, but if you look closer it's not, but the vibe is just too similar. That was something Guanggran hadn't expected. She paused. Really? Was this just a coincidence, or something more? Especially when she saw Yuli standing next to Bojingmo, her heart nearly skipped a beat. For a split second, she saw the image from an instance flash across her mind. A woman in a red wedding dress and a man standing in the courtyard, and their faces nearly overlapped with the two people just now. It gave her a weird déjà vu, like an NPC had walked out of an instance. That thought made Guangran shake her head hard. An NPC walking out of an instance? Absolutely impossible. Meanwhile, on the other side, the interruption from that group had forced Bo Jingmo to swallow back the question he wanted to ask. Even after they finished dinner, he still hadn't found the right moment to say it. His eyes kept drifting toward that perfume bag. Just imagining that gift ending up in the hands of some random guy made his chest tighten. If he couldn't ask, he'd just have to find out another way. The investigation he ordered hadn't reported back yet. While Yuli went to the restroom, Bo Jingmo followed up with the people on that end. Before he could get a reply, he saw Yuli coming back out of the corner of his eye. Maybe it was the guild talking, but he quickly turned off his screen and smiled warmly. Wanna go for a walk? There's a famous fountain square nearby, there's a show at night. Yuli looked curious. Really? Let's go then. She casually picked up the gift bag from the seat. Bo Jingmo's gaze flickered. I'll carry it for you. But Yuli politely declined, smiling as she lifted the bag in her hand. It's fine, I'll hold on to this one myself. His fingers curled slightly against the table. He forced a smile, one that came out a little stiff. All right. The sky darkened quickly. Before dinner, it had been sunset. By the time they came out, night had fallen. The street lights had turned on, the temperature dropped sharply, and a chilly wind blew. Yuli tightened her coat and, looking at the increasingly crowded streets, smiled toward Bo Jingmo. Are all these people heading to the fountain too? Looks like it's pretty famous. Bo Jingmo gave a soft truthfully. He'd never seen it himself, it was something he found from a phone guide. He looked down at his phone and told Yuli, wait a sec. Then he turned and walked off. Yuli watched his back with some confusion but still waited where she was. She looked down at what she was holding, and her lips curved slightly. Sis, is this for Bo Jingmo? The system asked, knowing full well she didn't have any so-called online friend. Bo Jingmo was the only one from beginning to end. Yuli lowered her eyes and smiled. Yeah, I'm planning to tell him the truth. Even if she didn't, the guy would realize something was off soon enough. Still, before she came clean, she'd let that fool keep guessing for a little longer. Before long, Bo Jingmo came back with a cup of milk tea in his hand. Yuli looked surprised when he handed it over. Didn't we just eat? I can't drink anything else. For your hands, Bo Jingmo explained seriously, it's cold tonight. Just hold it to keep warm. His eyes fell to the bag in Yuli's hands. Let me carry that for you. The meaning behind his words couldn't have been clearer. Yuli, holding the warm milk tea, let out a soft laugh and finally gave in, handing the perfume bag to him. All right, then I'll trouble you, senior. As the crowd moved toward the square, an announcement nearby signaled the show was about to begin. She looked at Bo Jingmo. Let's go, senior. Okay. They picked a slightly higher spot near the back. It wasn't front row, but it was still a perfect viewing location. There weren't as many people here, since most wanted to crowd up front for a better look. The show hadn't started yet. Bo Jingmo turned to look at the girl's profile and unconsciously tightened his grip on the bag, knowing this was the best time to ask. After a few seconds of silence, he finally said, when did you meet your online friend? Not long ago, just these past few days, Yuli said with a smile. He wasn't quite what I expected. Or I guess, not like how he was in the game. Not like? Was he not good looking? Aren't you worried he might be a bad guy? He's just a stranger, after all. Bo Jingmo's gaze flickered. After a brief pause, he added, you should be careful with blind meetups. Did he give you anything? There are a lot of scammers out there, you need to be cautious. Yuli sipped her milk tea and smiled, not answering that topic. Instead, she asked, Senior, did you meet that in-game friend of yours? Bo Jingmo froze at the sudden question. He looked toward the fountain and, after a long pause, said, yeah, also in the past few days. Yuli let out a soft laugh. What a coincidence. But after a short silence, Bo Jingmo said, but we're just not the same. The girl looked over, curious. Oh, how are you not the same? As the countdown began in the broadcast, the fountain square erupted with jets of water in time with the music. The multicolored lights lit up the splashing water, making the scene dazzling and vibrant. The crowd below cheered and laughed, the whole place alive with energy. But the man beside her just watched in silence. While everyone else was celebrating, Bo Jingmo turned to look at her slowly. His eyes curved as he forced a smile, but in his gaze was helpless sorrow. He spoke softly, his voice barely audible, like the wind could carry it away. Because, she didn't recognize me. In that moment, a deep sense of helplessness and indescribable bitterness spread through Bo Jingmo's chest. Yuli not only didn't remember him, she had fallen for someone else. But in the instance, she had liked him. She had clearly said it. Bo Jingmo's gaze trembled faintly, his throat tightened, and realizing he was about to lose control, he quickly turned his head away. At a time like this, how much he wanted to just tell Yuli the truth. But without her memories, what was the point? Yuli noticed the disappointment in his eyes and turned toward the fountain, speaking softly, why would you say that? Maybe, she actually recognized you a long time ago. Bo Jingmo froze, then quickly turned his head. Under the dark night, the colorful lights from the fountain were reflected in the girl's pupils, making them especially bright and clear. Her long lashes quivered slightly, casting a shadow. Her nose was high and straight, lips soft and pink, and on her delicate profile was a smile that was hard to read. Sensing his gaze, she tilted her head and looked at him. Her beautiful fox-like eyes curved gently. Bo Jingmo, let me tell you a secret. Actually, I already gave my gift. It's now, in the hands of my online friend. Boom! Bo Jingmo's pupils shrank in an instant, and his heart burst like fireworks. The sounds around him seemed to fade all at once. The scene around them blurred into an illusory backdrop. Only the girl in front of him remained real. He instinctively gripped the perfume bag in his hand, staring blankly at Yuli. His mind went completely blank, unable to think, while his heart pounded wildly, as if it might jump out of his chest. The fountain show reached its climax nearby. With a loud boom, an enormous jet of water shot up into the sky. The spray fell everywhere, soaking the front row crowd. Cheers instantly turned into startled screams and laughter from those enjoying the chaos. But Bo Jingmo didn't notice any of it. He didn't know how long had passed before he heard his own hoarse voice in the air. What do you mean? He had clearly guessed what she meant, but he still couldn't believe it. It felt like he was dreaming. But then, Bo Jingmo's body stiffened. In the reflection of his dark eyes, he saw the girl lean in and gently cup his face. Her palms were warmed by the milk tea, soft and warm, carrying the sweet scent of tea and the sharp pine fragrance. I even went out of my way to choose the same perfume you use. Why don't you believe it? With the gentle music of the fountain in the background and the man still stunned, Yuli leaned up and softly kissed the corner of his lips, her voice tender with a trace of laughter. Silly, I've been with you through 3 instances already. Recognizing you only now is a little late, isn't it? From the beginning, my online friend was always you. And the one I like, is also only you. At the same time, the phone in the man's pocket vibrated slightly. The screen lit up, the message laid bare in the air. President Bo, we've checked. The person you mentioned hasn't logged into any games or met anyone else recently. But the small notification didn't catch his attention at all. Right now, his whole world was filled only with the girl in front of him. The street lights were dim and yellow, the night endless. Amid the cheers and the dazzling fountain show, the two of them embraced in a quiet corner, like any couple lost in love. With reddened eyes, the man held the girl tightly in his arms, voice slightly choked. Lily, I'm not dreaming, right? Even if it was a dream, he wouldn't dare to dream something like this. It is a dream, the girl said, resting her chin on his shoulder and laughing softly. It's the perfect dream I wove just for you tonight. She slowly took his hand and smiled. Bo Jingmo, your milk tea's gotten cold. From now on, keeping my hands warm is your job. The only answer was the sudden tightening of his grip. Okay. Bo Jingmo lowered his head and kissed the back of her hand, the motion gentle and reverent. When he looked up again, his eyes were already tinged with red. Even if it's a dream, I never want to wake up. In that moment, Bo Jingmo felt like something had filled the emptiness inside him. Body and soul found a kind of satisfaction he had never known before, like a wandering spirit lost in a strange world. He had finally found his place to belong. Yuli gently curved her eyes and touched his face, gaze turning to the nearby fountain. The show was nearing its end. The colorful water jets changed form with the music, and the crowd's cheers never once stopped. Bo Jingmo stood beside her, holding her hand. They hadn't really watched the show, but so what? They would have countless more chances to watch together. As long as the person beside him never changed, that was enough. Seeing the show was over, Yuli seemed to remember something. She turned her head and asked, Bo Jingmo, we're together now, right? The man's lips curved upward, just about to answer when the girl suddenly leaned close. She rose up on her toes and whispered near his ear, laughing lightly, tomorrow's the weekend, I don't have class. They had agreed to meet on Sunday, so Saturday was entirely free. Feeling the man's body go rigid, Yuli's gaze dropped to his Adam's apple. Watching it move up and down, she reached out and gently pressed her fingers there, voice low and tempting, boyfriend, I want to see your place. In that moment, Bo Jingmo was certain the Yuli in front of him was the same one from the instances. He took her wrist, dark eyes fixed on her, deep and focused. His fingertips gently brushed against her delicate skin. As they looked into each other's eyes, unspoken tension lingered in the air. The noise around them faded into the background. After a long time, the man spoke with a hoarse voice, okay. Before heading over, Yuli needed to go back to school to grab a few things. She told Bo Jingmo he could just wait in the car. Sitting in the car, the man's face showed no emotion, but his voice sounded unmistakably aggrieved. Why? I can't wait downstairs. I can help you carry your stuff. You don't want to go public. Yuli paused with her hand on the seatbelt, then looked at him, amused. Don't want to go public. She gave him a once-over and raised her brow. My boyfriend's handsome and rich, why would I hide that? Meeting his gaze, she laughed and leaned over to unbuckle his seatbelt herself. Let's go, let's go. You can wait downstairs then. The little boyfriend nodded, very satisfied. Okay. Yuli went upstairs and opened the dorm room door. The girls inside turned around at the sound. Lee greeted her. Yuli, you're back. Yuli responded with a soft then placed the little cake in her hand. This one's really tasty. You all share it. Bo Jingmo had insisted on buying it before they came back. At the time, Yuli had been a little surprised, but then she heard his explanation. I've seen others do this before. Just think of it as my first meeting gift. In that moment, Yuli was reminded of when she had first joined the company. This man had practically bribed the entire office, preparing gifts for everyone in secret, smoothing out every possible obstacle for her. Yuli hadn't really needed him to do all that, but since her little boyfriend wanted to, she smiled and accepted it, and gave him a few extra rewards along the way. She knew what Bo Jingmo was thinking. He just wanted to give her the best of everything. Bo Jingmo never hid his love, and Yuli always gave him exactly the response he wanted. Lee held the cake in her hands with some surprise, but the moment she saw the brand, her excitement instantly turned into shock. No way, Yuli actually bought this for them? This brand's desserts were expensive? Holding the cake and watching Yuli pack her things nearby, she stammered, Yuli, are you dropping out of school? They all knew how broke Yuli usually was. Sometimes she didn't even have enough for meals. The few of them would share snacks with her just to help her get through each day. But today Yuli not only bought them cake, she started packing her things the moment she came back. Between a sudden windfall and dropping out midway, Lee thought the latter seemed more likely. Hearing that, the other two in the dorm also looked up. When Xiaojing saw the cake box in Lee's hand, she too looked a bit surprised. Yuli's hands paused briefly at the question. She looked up at Lee, smiling a little helplessly. I'm not dropping out. My boyfriend bought that for you all. She hadn't planned on telling her roommates this early. Even though she and Bo Jingmo were basically like an old married couple by now, from a student's perspective, going out with a boyfriend and progressing so fast still felt like a bit much. Apparently not expecting that answer, the room went silent for a second, then Lee's voice shot up, shocked, you have a boyfriend? Since when? Since when? They went to and from school together every day and still didn't know. Mu Chenxi also put down her phone, frowning as she looked over, a thoughtful glint flashing through her eyes. Yuli casually glanced at Mu Chenxi, then smiled and answered Lee, yeah, we just made it official today. I was going to wait until things were really stable before telling you. You're really something, Yuli, hiding this so well. Now it was Xiaojing's turn to exclaim, do we know him? I don't remember seeing you hang out with any guys. She picked up her cup to soothe her dry throat, thinking to herself, the only guy she'd seen Yuli interact with recently was. When his name popped into her mind, Xiaojing's eyes widened instantly, nearly choking on her drink. Bo Jingmo? No way, right? But then she heard Yuli say, you should know him, it's Bo Jingmo. The dorm fell completely silent. Even the sound of a pin dropping would have been jarring. Suddenly, a loud smack broke the silence. Everyone turned to look and saw that the usually calm Mu Chenxi had dropped her phone on the table. Her fingers were trembling slightly, and she stared wide-eyed at Yuli. Her beautiful eyes were filled with surprise and unreadable emotion. You're together. She'd still been planning to keep observing for a while. How did they end up together already? What now? Should she report this to Yu Jiao? Does this count as a sudden development? Yuli smiled with a small curve of her eyes, picked up her stuff and walked to the door. Yep. I won't be back tonight either. I just picked up a tutoring job recently. I'll be back after the weekend. Bye-bye. Mu Chenxi, should she report this? It really didn't feel right. She watched Yuli leave the room, then picked up her phone and opened the chat window, but as her finger hovered over the screen, she didn't know what to say. Mu Chenxi was a member of too.The, responsible for observing Bo Jingmo at school. Since too.The couldn't blatantly assign someone to tail him, they relied on subtle surveillance like this to monitor his movements. And as someone who went to the same school as Bo Jingmo, Mu Chenxi was the natural choice. But in the past 6 months, she'd never seen Bo Jingmo and Yuli interact. The only time was that one incident at the teaching building. She pressed her temples with a headache, her expression grave. When had those two gotten together? Was it really love at first sight? And they just instantly clicked? But isn't this moving way too fast? As she silently complained to herself, Mu Chenxi suddenly paused, then recalled Bo Jingmo's behavior in the game. In the past 6 months since joining the team, she hadn't run that many instances, but definitely not too few either. She was gradually becoming an intermediate level player. Bo Jingmo was just a newbie, so unless there were special circumstances, she wouldn't be matched with him. But that hadn't stopped Mu Chenxi from hearing all about Bo Jingmo from others. His performance in every newbie instance had been thoroughly analyzed by their team. According to Yu Jiao, Bo Jingmo might have seemed violent and bloodthirsty in the instances because he lacked awareness, but in reality, that was just who he was. The instance only amplified his darkness, drawing out the cruelty and coldness that was already within him. In essence, the man was no different in real life than he was in the game. And with the real-life observations she'd made of Bo Jingmo, Mu Chenxi had also sensed it. He looked gentle, but was inwardly ice-cold. He treated everyone with complete indifference. Could someone like that really fall in love with anyone? Or rather, could anyone normal really fall in love with him? Thinking that, Mu Chenxi glanced at Yuli's desk. It was neat, with barely anything on it. Since the beginning of the school year, this roommate had always kept a low profile. She spoke quietly, and even when she was bullied in the club, she hadn't fought back. The recent pushback must have been her finally reaching a limit, just like even a rabbit will bite when it's cornered, let alone a person. Mu Chenxi could understand why Yuli had been acting different lately. What she couldn't understand was how did Yuli get involved with Bo Jingmo? Were their personalities even compatible? Or, had Yuli also been fooled by Bo Jingmo's fake persona? Mu Chenxi took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. Yeah, that's not impossible. If she weren't a too.The team member, just an ordinary college student, she might have been fooled too. The guy's looks alone were highly deceptive. And her roommate had never really been involved with people. Suddenly running into such a gentle, refined senior, who wouldn't be moved. So, Yuli really might have been tricked by Bojingmo. She had no idea what kind of monster hid behind that calm, polite mask. Mu Chenxi knew this wasn't something she should be meddling with. Even if Yuli had been deceived, that was her own problem, nothing to do with her. But what was Bojingmo's reason for targeting Yuli? She didn't understand. A rich young master worth hundreds of millions, with women throwing themselves at him, what kind of woman hadn't he seen? Yuli was pretty, sure, but could she really make Bojingmo fall at first sight? No way, his intentions were that simple. Mu Chenxi had completed too many instances. This kind of deeper analysis was practically instinctual by now. Suddenly, a spark of realization lit up her mind. She remembered something they had discussed earlier in the conference room. Yi Xian said Bojingmo was very obedient to an NPC in the instance. He even said she was his girlfriend. That was the abnormality in Bojingmo's behavior in the game. And outside the game, his abnormality was his entanglement with Yuli. Was there a connection? Yuli couldn't possibly be a player. Mu Chenxi was sure of it. After living together as roommates for more than 2 years, she knew Yuli well. Not only did she not have any system aura on her, even if she were hiding it, that'd mean her level was even higher than Mu Chenxi's. And that didn't make sense. A high-level player would never be so broke in real life, barely able to afford a meal. Game points were enough to let them live rich for the rest of their lives. Plus, she'd never seen anyone in the game who looked much like Yuli. It felt like her thoughts were blocked by something. Mu Chenxi knew she was close to the truth, but just couldn't get over that last hump. Her hand slowly clenched on the table. She looked at the slice of cake Lee had given her, her expression unreadable. To figure this out, she had to understand what was truly going on with Bojingmo in the instance. As for reporting, her eyes landed on the phone screen. After a moment of silence, she picked it up and, after some deliberation, sent a message to Yujiao. Sister Yujiao, I want to replace Suhi in the next instance. On the other end, Yujiao seemed to be online the whole time. After seeing the message, she first responded with a question mark, then gently asked, "Why do you want to switch, darling?" Mu Chenxi replied naturally. The recent instances have been getting tough. It's been a bit stressful. I want to relax in a lower tier one. Plus, I'm more observant than Suhi. I'm worried he might miss some details. There was a few minutes of consideration before Yujiao finally agreed. After all, in the team, Mu Chenxi's observation skills were indeed sharper than Suhi's. Alright then, tomorrow, come link with Yi Xian. I'll tell Suhi about the change. Mu Chenxi didn't choose to report it. She knew Deva's ways far too well. Once they discovered Yu Li's existence, she could kiss a normal life goodbye. There'd be surveillance eyes watching her everywhere. So she figured it wasn't too late to get a better understanding before saying anything. She couldn't let an innocent person get dragged into this. Besides, even if she didn't say anything, Deva would find out about Yu Li sooner or later. What was the harm in pretending to be clueless for a little while? The next instance would come soon enough. She could just claim ignorance afterward. Mu Chenxi hated the feeling of being left hanging. She needed to know the truth. And she could feel it, the truth was close. On the other side, Yu Li was also thinking about Mu Chenxi's reaction. She sat in her chair, eyes narrowed in thought. Her roommate had been acting strange since the morning. Especially after hearing she was dating Bojingmo. Though shocked on the surface, there were other emotions underneath it. Yu Li knew she was a player, no doubt about it. The signs were too obvious. What puzzled her was how much Mu Chenxi seemed to care about Bojingmo. Not like Wan had. This was a different kind of interest, hard to describe. If she had to put it into words, it felt like the way someone would look at a mission target. But Bojingmo was just a newly entered player. Why would someone care about him that much? While she was still mulling it over, a low voice broke through her thoughts. What are you thinking about? Yu Li blinked, looking up to see Bojingmo standing outside the car. The car had already pulled up in front of a manor and she hadn't even noticed. She smiled at his question. Nothing much. Just thinking about how my roommates reacted when I told them I had a boyfriend. Pretty funny, honestly. Oh, really? Hearing that Yu Li had brought him up to her roommates, Bojingmo's eyes curved in delight. He was clearly in a good mood. Yu Li noticed his obvious happiness and teased with a raised brow, well, my boyfriend is famous. Just dropping your name probably shocked them. I mean, the school's top campus crush caught by me. The man chuckled, unbuckling her seatbelt for her. When their eyes met, they stared at each other for a few seconds, the air tinged with unspoken warmth. He leaned in and kissed the corner of her lips, his voice gentle. I've been hoping you'd catch me quickly. Yu Li laughed, wrapping her arms around his neck and kissing him in return. Boyfriend sure knows how to talk. Here's your reward. Bojingmo's gaze deepened. He smoothed down her slightly messy hair and pressed her into the seat, kissing her fiercely. When the kiss ended, the corners of Yu Li's eyes were tinged red, her lips glistening, making her look even more alluring. She pushed at his chest, voice husky. You're this intense with kisses right after we got together, Bo. Then her words abruptly stopped. Director Bo nearly slipped out. Yu Li had almost used the title she used to call him. She used to love teasing him like that, especially when he was all suited up, freshly off the awards stage, carrying that aloof elegance like a flower too far to reach. Back then, she always wanted to tear away that fake facade, just to see those calm eyes flush red with excitement. Their dynamic now felt so familiar, it was like there had never been death, no transmigration. Like everything was just as it had been. So she slipped for a moment. But she didn't regret those days, nor did she dwell on them with sorrow. She was just thinking, when would she get to see the current Bo Jingmo in a suit? Bo Jingmo didn't notice her pause. He kissed her forehead and said, "Come on, let's get your fingerprint recorded first." Yuli followed him out of the car, looking at the large manor. "There's no one else here now." Bo Jingmo just smiled. "I told them to leave. They'll come back tomorrow morning." Yuli, she had a feeling she knew what that meant. She watched as Bo Jingmo registered her fingerprint and facial ID, then raised a brow. "So now that I'm in the system, should we do your phone next?" "Bo Jingmo, I'm doing a spot check on day one." The man paused at her words, then chuckled softly, an odd sense of anticipation in his tone. "All right. Check away." He took her hand and led her inside, pulling his phone from his pocket and handing it over, along with the password. "I'll get you some water. Go sit on the couch. Feel free to look around." Yuli took the phone. Honestly, Bo Jingmo's phone was probably the most boring thing to check. She'd just said that to tease him. The point was her little boyfriend loved these kinds of normal couple interactions. Stuff like checking up, reporting whereabouts, and all the tiny day-to-day things. As long as Yuli's attention stayed on him, he liked it. Since she had it now, she leaned on the couch and scrolled through it while waiting for him. She opened QQ first to finally approve the friend request she'd been ignoring. And only then did she realize why Bo Jingmo hadn't accepted her before. His friend requests list was full. Obviously, he hadn't even opened it. So like him. Yuli chuckled softly and added herself in. Then she opened WeChat. Unsurprisingly, she was the only pinned chat. Her gaze lazily drifted down, then paused when she saw a message. The glass clinked on the coffee table as he set it down. The spot beside her dipped slightly. That familiar pine scent filled her nose as Bo Jingmo sat beside her and wrapped an arm around her waist. By her ear came his low chuckle. "How's the inspection going?" She shifted from leaning on the couch back to resting against his chest, raising a brow as she showed him the screen, her tone unreadable. "Of course I found something interesting." When he saw the screen, the smile on Bo Jingmo's face froze. His body stiffened slightly. Yuli's casual voice followed. "Bo Jingmo, you've been having someone investigate me." A flash of panic crossed Bo Jingmo's eyes. He'd actually forgotten about that. His lips parted, just about to explain, when Yuli laughed and leaned up to kiss him. "All right, I'm done teasing. I figured it out ages ago." Even if she hadn't come clean, Bo Jingmo would have found out soon enough that she never had any online friend. His eyes darkened, and his hand rested on her waist, voice rough. "Lily, you still owe me a reward." Yuli looked up from the phone at his words. Sitting on his lap, she trailed her hand up to his shoulder and raised a brow. "That was in the instance. What does it have to do with me right now?" Her words might have said that, but her actions were anything but distant. Her teasing eyes glinted with amusement. Bo Jingmo's Adam's apple bobbed. The depth in his eyes turned into a thick desire. He picked her up from the sofa and headed toward the bedroom. Just then, the phone in her hand buzzed softly. Yuli glanced down, realizing it was still Bo Jingmo's phone. And on the screen was a message from Zhangxi. Yuli paused, her eyes narrowing as she leaned lazily against the man's shoulder and spoke. "Bo Jingmo, Zhangxi sent you a message." The man opened the door while holding her. Hearing that, he merely glanced over casually, took the phone from her hand, and tossed it onto the soft leather sofa. "Not important." He set her down on the bed. The soft quilt immediately sank in a little, and her jet black, waterfall-like hair spread over the sheets, further highlighting her fair, delicate skin like it was inviting someone to lean in and kiss her. Yuli propped herself up slightly with one hand on the bed. She raised her eyebrows a bit and teased deliberately. "Sure you don't want to see what it says?" "I caught a glimpse. It seems to be about an instance." Bo Jingmo chuckled softly, knelt on one knee on the bed, his tall frame casting a shadow as he braced himself on either side of the girl, lowering his head to kiss her eyelids, then slowly trailed kisses down her cheek. "That's not urgent. I can read it later." His breath was hot, and every motion carried a gentle tenderness. He hooked a strand of hair behind her ear with his fingertips and leaned in to kiss her lightly. "And right now, no one can interrupt us anymore." Yuli's eyes curved as she met those deep, pitch-black eyes. She reached out and touched his cheek, her voice soft in the room. "Bo Jingmo, this is the last reward. I'm giving it to you now." A trace of excitement tinged with red flashed in the man's eyes. He straightened up, his long fingers unbuttoning his shirt, then reached toward the head of the bed. With a soft click, the room suddenly plunged into darkness. Moonlight slipped in through a gap, as if trying to sneak a peek at the heart-racing scene within. Yuli squinted, not yet adjusted to the dark, when she felt someone press down over her. That familiar cool scent lingered at the tip of her nose, mixed with the man's scorching breath as it enveloped her. His touch seemed gentle but was laced with an overwhelming possessiveness, stealing her breath away bit by bit. Her hand gripping the bedsheet was pried open by his long fingers. His palm was warm as he slowly and dominantly laced their fingers together, locking them tightly. Unlike the unrestrained madness within the instance, the real Bo Jingmo leaned more toward a facade of gentleness, yet his actions still silently claimed everything as his own. At some point, the moonlight faded from between the curtains, as if even it felt embarrassed by the scene. The air in the room rapidly warmed, filled with a hazy, unspoken intimacy. A faint whimper hadn't even escaped before being swallowed down. Who knew how much time had passed before the phone, left cold and alone on the sofa, was finally picked up again. The man lowered his head to look at the phone, satisfaction and laziness written across his features. His body still carried the dampness of a post-shower scent. Long legs, broad shoulders, a narrow waist, with taut, defined muscles emanating pure masculinity. His shoulder still bore a faint bite mark. Droplets of water gathered at the tips of his hair and dripped down, landing precisely on that spot, adding an inexplicable touch of sensual ambiguity. After reading the messages, he walked step by step to the bedside, looked at the woman resting there, and a soft smile flickered in his eyes. He leaned down to kiss her. Lily, want to read the messages now? The woman lazily opened her eyes at his words. Her eye corners were still tinged with a flush from earlier, glistening with moisture, but every inch of her body was fresh and clean. Yuli yawned and stretched out a hand from under the covers. A few conspicuous red marks dotted the bit of exposed skin. Let me see. Go dry your hair before coming back in. Okay. The man obediently handed her the phone and went off to dry his hair. Yuli nestled into the blanket, scrolling through the chat history with her fingertip. Last night, Zhangxi came to find Bo Jingmo. She was talking about meeting with Peace that evening. Zhangxi, last night, Ho Liang and I had dinner with members of Peace. They invited us to join. I checked into them. They usually work together to get through instances. After discussing with Ho Liang, we decided to accept. Zhangxi, I was going to ask you first, but I heard from Sen Xiu that you'd already turned them down. Peace still wants to build a connection and possibly team up in the future. I also just found out that high-level players in instances have different permissions than we do. They can even invite others to team up and run instances together, like with newbie instances. Zhangxi, so, Bo Jingmo, Ho Liang and I will be teaming up with Peace from now on. If you change your mind, you can always reach out. After reading, Yuli closed the phone and shut her eyes. She wasn't surprised that Zhangxi got into Peace. Even though Peace still seemed weak for now, in most plots, teams that promoted justice and unity like this would eventually grow stronger. As the protagonist, Zhangxi and Ho Liang were bound to follow a growth path. Joining Peace would quickly boost their audience popularity and deepen their connections in the instance world, a solid move for newbie players. But Bo Jingmo didn't join, just because he's the villain? Thinking of this, Yuli slowly opened her eyes, her expression calm. The protagonist always has to walk a different path from the villain, only then would there be conflict. If Zhangxi joined Peace, then Bo Jingmo was most likely to join. Deva. The hum of the blow dryer had stopped at some point. Click. The room fell back into darkness. Yuli kept her eyes closed as she felt a warm chest press up behind her. Her waist was gently wrapped in a hug, and the man's warm palm instinctively massaged her lower back. His voice was extra tender in the night. Sleep. She turned over, found a comfortable spot, and casually asked, did you read Zhangxi's message? I did. Bo Jingmo's voice was just as usual, no emotion to be read. Yuli reached out and took his wrist. Do you want to join a team? I saw what Zhangxi said. Joining might come with more benefits, and we'd meet more people. Zhangxi's messages contained quite a bit of info. Those high-level players could do far more than they'd imagined, like pulling others into group instances. They'd never even known that was possible. Looking at the instance system from a newbie's perspective, they were basically frogs at the bottom of a well. The capabilities of those players might be beyond comprehension. And now that the protagonist had moved on from the newbie instance and joined a team with high-level players, it meant that from now on, they would definitely encounter stronger players in future instances. Yuli looked up in the dark and spoke softly, Bo Jingmo, I want to know what you're thinking. As soon as she finished, the sound of rustling filled the air. The man pulled her into his arms more tightly under the covers, resting his chin atop her head, his voice low and especially gentle in the night. Lily, I'm only teaming with you. Yuli paused, her eyes narrowing as she leaned lazily against the man's shoulder and spoke, Bo Jingmo, Zhangxi sent you a message. The man opened the door while holding her. Hearing that, he merely glanced over casually, took the phone from her hand, and tossed it onto the soft leather sofa. Not important. He set her down on the bed. The soft quilt immediately sank in a little, and her jet black, waterfall-like hair spread over the sheets, further highlighting her fair, delicate skin like it was inviting someone to lean in and kiss her. Yuli propped herself up slightly with one hand on the bed. She raised her eyebrows a bit and teased deliberately, sure you don't want to see what it says? I caught a glimpse, it seems to be about an instance. Bo Jingmo chuckled softly, knelt on one knee on the bed, his tall frame casting a shadow as he braced himself on either side of the girl, lowering his head to kiss her eyelids, then slowly trailed kisses down her cheek. That's not urgent. I can read it later. His breath was hot, and every motion carried a gentle tenderness. He hooked a strand of hair behind her ear with his fingertips and leaned in to kiss her lightly. And right now, no one can interrupt us anymore. Yuli's eyes curved as she met those deep, pitch-black eyes. She reached out and touched his cheek, her voice soft in the room. Bo Jingmo, this is the last reward. I'm giving it to you now. A trace of excitement tinged with red flashed in the man's eyes. He straightened up, his long fingers unbuttoning his shirt, then reached toward the head of the bed. With a soft click, the room suddenly plunged into darkness. Moonlight slipped in through a gap, as if trying to sneak a peek at the heart-racing scene within. Yuli squinted, not yet adjusted to the dark, when she felt someone press down over her. That familiar cool scent lingered at the tip of her nose, mixed with the man's scorching breath as it enveloped her. His touch seemed gentle but was laced with an overwhelming possessiveness, stealing her breath away bit by bit. Her hand gripping the bedsheet was pried open by his long fingers. His palm was warm as he slowly and dominantly laced their fingers together, locking them tightly. Unlike the unrestrained madness within the instance, the real Bo Jingmo leaned more toward a facade of gentleness, yet his actions still silently claimed everything as his own. At some point, the moonlight faded from between the curtains, as if even it felt embarrassed by the scene. The air in the room rapidly warmed, filled with a hazy, unspoken intimacy. A faint whimper hadn't even escaped before being swallowed down. Who knew how much time had passed before the phone, left cold and alone on the sofa, was finally picked up again. The man lowered his head to look at the phone, satisfaction and laziness written across his features. His body still carried the dampness of a post-shower scent. Long legs, broad shoulders, a narrow waist, with taut, defined muscles emanating pure masculinity. His shoulder still bore a faint bite mark. Droplets of water gathered at the tips of his hair and dripped down, landing precisely on that spot, adding an inexplicable touch of sensual ambiguity. After reading the messages, he walked step by step to the bedside, looked at the woman resting there, and a soft smile flickered in his eyes. He leaned down to kiss her. "Lily, want to read the messages now?" The woman lazily opened her eyes at his words. Her eye corners were still tinged with a flush from earlier, glistening with moisture, but every inch of her body was fresh and clean. Yuli yawned and stretched out a hand from under the covers. A few conspicuous red marks dotted the bit of exposed skin. "Let me see. Go dry your hair before coming back in." "Okay." The man obediently handed her the phone and went off to dry his hair. Yuli nestled into the blanket, scrolling through the chat history with her fingertip. Last night, Zhang Shi came to find Bo Jingmo. She was talking about meeting with Peace that evening. "Zhang Shi, last night, Ho Liang and I had dinner with members of Peace. They invited us to join. I checked into them. They usually work together to get through instances. After discussing with Ho Liang, we decided to accept. Zhang Shi, I was going to ask you first, but I heard from Sen Xiu that you'd already turned them down. Peace still wants to build a connection and possibly team up in the future. I also just found out that high-level players in instances have different permissions than we do. They can even invite others to team up and run instances together, like with newbie instances. Zhang Shi, so, Bo Jingmo, Ho Liang and I will be teaming up with Peace from now on. If you change your mind, you can always reach out." After reading, Yuli closed the phone and shut her eyes. She wasn't surprised that Zhang Shi got into Peace. Even though Peace still seemed weak for now, in most plots, teams that promoted justice and unity like this would eventually grow stronger. As the protagonist, Zhang Shi and Ho Liang were bound to follow a growth path. Joining Peace would quickly boost their audience popularity and deepen their connections in the instance world, a solid move for newbie players. But Bo Jingmo didn't join, just because he's the villain? Thinking of this, Yuli slowly opened her eyes, her expression calm. The protagonist always has to walk a different path from the villain, only then would there be conflict. If Zhang Shi joined Peace, then Bo Jingmo was most likely to join Deva. The hum of the blow dryer had stopped at some point. Click. The room fell back into darkness. Yuli kept her eyes closed as she felt a warm chest press up behind her. Her waist was gently wrapped in a hug, and the man's warm palm instinctively massaged her lower back. His voice was extra tender in the night. "Sleep." She turned over, found a comfortable spot, and casually asked, "Did you read Zhang Shi's message?" I did." Bo Jingmo's voice was just as usual, no emotion to be read. Yuli reached out and took his wrist. "Do you want to join a team? I saw what Zhang Shi said. Joining might come with more benefits, and we'd meet more people." Zhang Shi's messages contained quite a bit of info. Those high-level players could do far more than they'd imagined, like pulling others into group instances. They'd never even known that was possible. Looking at the instance system from a newbie's perspective, they were basically frogs at the bottom of a well. The capabilities of those players might be beyond comprehension. And now that the protagonist had moved on from the newbie instance and joined a team with high-level players, it meant that from now on, they would definitely encounter stronger players in future instances. Yuli looked up in the dark and spoke softly, "Bo Jingmo, I want to know what you're thinking." As soon as she finished, the sound of rustling filled the air. The man pulled her into his arms more tightly under the covers, resting his chin atop her head, his voice low and especially gentle in the night. "Lily, I'm only teaming with you." In the past, Bo Jingmo had indeed considered joining a team. Just like Yuli said, there were more resources and players in a team. It allowed faster access to information about the instance world, which was nothing but beneficial for Bo Jingmo. But his girlfriend was an NPC. Once he joined a team, it would mean he had to consider the presence of teammates in the instance. Sometimes, he'd even have to ensure their safety for various reasons. Bo Jingmo knew Yuli was helping him, and she had said herself that she couldn't break character. Yet she still risked exposure to help him again and again. If she had to suffer just because of these teammates, Bo Jingmo would be the first to take care of them himself. So, to avoid unnecessary trouble, he had scrapped that idea early on. And besides, he wasn't alone now. Yuli was his teammate. "I don't want to join their teams." Bo Jingmo said his thoughts out loud, "Just being in a team with you is enough." Hearing that, the woman's brows and eyes curved, and she closed her eyes, leaning against the man's chest with a faint smile in her voice. "Then we won't join. Just the two of us is plenty." She respected everything her little boyfriend thought. After all, even high-level players were bound by absolute rules in the instance. And as an NPC, she was the rule itself. The next morning, Yuli opened her eyes. She was momentarily confused when she saw the unfamiliar room, then remembered this was Bojingmo's place. The spot next to her was already empty. The bedsheet was cold, looked like Bojingmo had been up for a while. They had gone pretty late last night, and now she finally felt a bit sore all over. Ah, to be young, boys in their prime really had endless energy. Yuli rubbed her waist and sighed internally. Of course, that wasn't to say she disliked the previous version of Bojingmo, it's just that different ages came with different perks. She lifted the blanket and got out of bed. Though her body was a little weak, Bojingmo must have given her a massage later in the night, because she didn't feel too uncomfortable. She went to the bathroom to freshen up. Just as she opened the door, she heard voices downstairs. She recognized Bojingmo's voice, but was that a child's voice too? Yuli froze mid-step, thinking maybe she misheard. She walked lightly to the railing on the second floor, leaned over the banister and looked down only to realize she hadn't misheard at all. There was a child in the house. The little boy looked about 8 or 9 years old. His cheeks were soft and fair, eyes black and clear, and his hair was soft too. Though he hadn't fully grown into his features, he already looked like a handsome little prince from a distance. Only, this little prince was currently rather indignant. Uncle, you were the one who said I could move in today. How can you just send me back now? The man at the door was dressed in loungewear, exuding a lazy aura, yet his tone was completely cold. He crossed his arms and expressionlessly said, I've changed my mind. Tell your mom to come pick you up. She can't. Mom and dad already went on vacation. Mew he retorted righteously, Uncle, you said I could stay at your place. If you kick me out now, I'll end up on the streets. And didn't you say you got me a tutor? I'm already ready for class. When his mom got the call, she had been totally shocked, especially when she heard that her brother had arranged a tutor for him. Her jaw practically dropped. After all, this uncle never contacted them on his own. Whether it was holidays or family gatherings, he never returned to Grandpa's house. He'd been living alone for a long time. According to his mom, it was because Uncle didn't like Grandpa, which is why he hardly ever came back. Mew he totally understood his uncle. Because he didn't like Grandpa either, Grandpa always gave him a weird, uncomfortable feeling. Even though Uncle was cold and distant, he used to buy him gifts and help out around the house. It's just that lately he stopped coming, and his relationship with Mom had gotten more distant. Mom wanted to use this opportunity to mend things, and had even told him to behave and help Uncle feel some warmth. Mew he was a very sensible kid. He knew this was a rare chance, so he was fully prepared, determined to let Uncle feel the warmth of family. But now things were going south. Forget warming his uncle's heart, he couldn't even get into the house. Uncle, an adult, was actually trying to go back on his word. Mew he raged with indignation, Uncle, our teacher said that when you promise something, you have to follow through. People can't go back on their word, or they'll lose others' trust. Bojingmo was currently arranging the perfume he bought yesterday. He looked up at his one and only nephew, his tone still indifferent. I don't need your trust. I'll have someone send your luggage back later, and you can go too. If no one's home, get the housekeeper. Now that he was with Yuli, he didn't need to use this kid as a cover anymore. He had forgotten to call them last night, and this brat showed up knocking at his door first thing this morning. If he woke Lily up, it'd be hard to kick him out. Just as he was thinking that, the next second, he heard his nephew's surprised and excited voice, Uncle? Who's that pretty lady? Bojingmo. He turned his head and saw Mew he looking up at the second floor right where Yuli was leaning over the railing. The woman leaned casually against the banister, wearing the same style of pajamas as Bojingmo. Her aura was lazy with a hint of sensuality. That beautiful face wore a laid-back smile, sunlight spilling in through the large floor-to-ceiling windows, casting golden light over her slightly curled, waterfall-like hair like a scene from a painting. Big eyes stared at little eyes. Mew he's eyes sparkled with excitement and awe. So this was the beauty his uncle was hiding at home. No wonder he wanted him gone. He was just about to greet the pretty lady when she suddenly smiled at him, eyes curving as she spoke gently. Hello there. Maybe. I'm the tutor you were talking about. Mew he's eyes widened, thrilled. Really? Bojingmo's face darkened even more. Should have just thrown him out earlier. Yuli had always known there weren't any kids in Bojingmo's house, but she hadn't expected this man to borrow his nephew on the fly. When she came out dressed, the kid was already sitting at the table eating breakfast, waving at her cheerfully. Good morning, teacher. Yuli smiled at him and replied, Morning. She walked into the kitchen, and the moment she entered, the man pressed her into a corner and kissed her cheek. His low voice sounded next to her ear. No need for class. I'll have someone send him home soon. Yuli looked at him with a smile, her voice dropping. Senior, if you do that, I'll lose my job. Her fingertips brushed the man's shoulder, tone teasing. Or are you planning to keep me? Bojingmo glanced out at the little brat who was eating happily, his brow twitching. Then he lowered his head and gently kissed the woman. Yes, I'm keeping you. Either way, that kid had to go. Yuli laughed softly and slipped out of Bojingmo's arms. All right, don't scare him. The little one seems pretty well behaved. Besides, she wanted to see if she could get some info about Bojingmo's family out of him. The class wasn't scheduled until tomorrow, and she had planned to spend the day at Bojingmo's place, but then she suddenly got a message in the student council group chat. At everyone, the student council team building event is set for 8 p.m. tonight. The location has already been shared in the group. Please try to arrive early. Yuli had honestly forgotten about it. The event had already been arranged before she crossed over. She turned her head to look at the man beside her. Are you going to the student council team building tonight? Bo Jingmo paused in surprise. Team building? I usually don't go. He rarely had time for these things, and he wasn't fond of social gatherings anyway. Usually, it was the vice president who attended. But when he saw the group message on her phone, his gaze paused slightly. You're in the student council too. Why did he have no impression of that? If Yuli had been part of the council for a while, there was no way he wouldn't have noticed. Yuli raised her eyebrows slightly, her tone unclear. Yeah, I even tried to add Mr. President on QQ back then, but I never got a response. Bo Jingmo's face stiffened. I don't really check that. As he spoke, he reached for his phone on the table, but before he could do anything, the girl said lazily, I already approved myself yesterday. Yuli didn't really mind. She leaned on Bo Jingmo's shoulder, watching the content on his screen. So, you're not going tonight. The man turned his head and kissed her cheek. Can't. I have to deal with some stuff at the company. I'll come pick you up after it ends tonight. Yuli blinked in confusion. You already started working. No, it's the family company. I've just been helping out a bit. Bo Jingmo spoke casually, but Yuli could already guess it definitely wasn't just any ordinary company. At this rate, the whole keeping her thing didn't seem too far off from the truth. She smiled and leaned in close to his ear, deliberately laughing and teasing. Is that so? Then should I start calling you President Bo? Her breath was warm and damp as it brushed against him, and her subtle fragrance filled the air. Bo Jingmo's eyes darkened, and he wrapped an arm around her waist, lowering his head, about to kiss her. Suddenly, they heard Mu Hehe's voice outside the door. Uncle? They finished setting up my room? Where's the teacher? I don't see the teacher. Bo Jingmo's face turned black. Told you letting the kid in was a mistake. Yuli was also caught off guard by the voice, then slipped out of Bo Jingmo's arms with a soft laugh. Better go open the door and deal with the kid first, President Bo. Grinding his teeth, Bo Jingmo walked to the door. As soon as he opened it, he saw Mu Hehe standing there, blinking up at him. Uncle, what should I do now? I didn't see the teacher. Do whatever you want. And class is tomorrow. Bo Jingmo replied coldly, if there's nothing urgent, don't bother me or your teacher. Just ask the housekeepers. Mu Hehe wasn't scared at all by Bo Jingmo's icy tone. His mom had already told him as long as he didn't act like a bad kid, Uncle wouldn't actually get mad. He was about to say something when he caught sight of Yuli standing inside the room. His eyes lit up, and he cried out excitedly, Teacher. Yuli smiled as she walked over. Did you get the gift I left for you? Yeah, I saw it. Thank you, teacher. Mu Hehe had spotted the toy the moment he entered the room. He blinked his innocent eyes. But, teacher, why were you in Uncle's room? Yuli. She blinked back at him, bent down, and replied with a mysterious smile. Of course I was asking your uncle for my paycheck so I could go out and have fun. She looked up at Bo Jingmo. I'm heading back to school real quick. I'll go straight to the team building from there tonight. The man nodded. All right, I'll take you. He lowered his gaze to Mu Hehe. Stay home. Don't run around. If you need anything, talk to the housekeepers. Mu Hehe nodded obediently. Okay, uncle. He was planning to give uncle some warmth tonight. On the weekend, a few roommates were hanging out in the dorm. When they saw Yuli return, they were a bit surprised. Yuli, didn't you say you'd be back after the weekend? Their eyes instinctively scanned her, but found nothing out of the ordinary. It was like, nothing had happened overnight. Yuli set her things down. There's a student council team building tonight. I came back to grab a few things and will head straight there. Oh, Xiao Jingku asked tentatively, so are you going with Bo Jingmo? She could already imagine how explosive that would look. The famously unattached president suddenly showing up with one of the council's ministers? That was chef's kiss drama? But unfortunately, Yuli just shook her head. He's busy. I'm going alone. Xiao Jingku looked a little disappointed. All right then. Yuli glanced over at Mu Chenxi's bed completely empty. Mu Chenxi went out. Li looked up from the side. Yeah, she left early this morning. Speak of the devil. Just as she finished, Mu Chenxi walked back in with a lunchbox from the cafeteria in hand. Their eyes met. After a few seconds of silence, Mu Chenxi surprisingly greeted her first. You're back. Yuli replied with a simple going to the team building later. Just came back to grab some stuff. Mu Chenxi discreetly gave her a once-over. She'd gone to Deva early this morning to swap tasks with Suhi. Her next instance would be with Yi Xian. Yi Xian had once been matched with Bo Jingmo, and the chance of being matched again would now be higher. But, she still couldn't figure out how Yuli and Bo Jingmo ended up together. Mu Chenxi really wanted to ask, but she wasn't the gossiping type. Asking now would feel off. Luckily, she wasn't the only one curious. The other two roommates had been dying to know ever since hearing the news last night. Li, having just finished a game, put her phone down and leaned toward Yuli, probing gently. Hey, Yuli, I'm really curious, how did you and Bo Jingmo get together? I don't remember ever seeing you two interact much. Yuli paused for a moment, then looked up at Li and raised an eyebrow. Online dating. Bo Jingmo does online dating. Li was incredulous. Bo Jingmo, the untouchable flower on the mountaintop. Everyone chased him. The school forum had confession posts about him every year, and people constantly tried to get his contact info. And yet he did online dating? Yuli rested her chin in her hand and blinked. Yeah, We just happened to meet online, and after chatting for a while, feelings developed. When we decided to meet in person, turns out we were at the same university. Holy sh*t, impressive. Lee hugged her phone dramatically. Why can't I get an online romance like that? It sounded perfectly reasonable, but Muchensi frowned slightly at that explanation. Was it really that simple? That storyline was way too unreal. She'd rather believe Bo Jingmo had ulterior motives. By the time evening rolled around, Yuli was getting ready to head out. But just as she opened the door, she heard Muchensi's voice behind her. Wait, are you heading to the school gate? She turned her head at that. Yeah, why? Muchensi zipped up her jacket. I've got something to do outside too. Let's go together. Yuli paused for a beat, her brows lifting slightly, almost unnoticeably. Sure. The two walked out of the dorm in silence. Along the way, Muchensi kept her head down, eyes on the road, the night hiding any trace of emotion on her face. Yuli was the first to break the silence. Did you have something you wanted to say to me? Muchensi blinked, then turned her head and chuckled. No, I was just thinking about stuff. Yuli nodded. I see. Actually, I've been wanting to ask you something. Muchensi looked surprised. Ask me. Yeah. Yuli had her hands in her pockets, a small smile playing on her lips. Because I feel like you're pretty curious about Bo Jingmo. Hearing the phrasing, Muchensi raised an eyebrow. Curious? Are you saying, I'm interested in your boyfriend? To her surprise, the girl laughed out loud. No, I meant curious in a completely emotionless, objective kind of way. As soon as she heard that, Muchensi stopped walking. She narrowed her eyes at the girl's back and followed silently after a few seconds, her tone joking. Well, yeah. I mean, he's the campus heartthrob. Of course I'm curious what someone like that is really like in private. Maybe he's totally different than he seems. A contrast. Yuli echoed with a soft laugh. Muchensi waited for her to keep going, but Yuli just let the topic drop there. Now she really couldn't guess what this roommate of hers was thinking. When they reached the gate, Muchensi's ride hadn't arrived yet, but Yuli's car had already pulled up. She walked over first and reached for the door. Just as she was about to get in, the girl suddenly turned her head like she remembered something. Oh, right. Muchensi looked at her, listening carefully. The lighting at the gate was dim, half-shadowing the girl's expression in the dark. But her voice sounded like she was smiling. Actually, I don't know Bo Jingmo that well either. We were online dating before, so I just wanted to ask, what kind of person is Bo Jingmo in your eyes? Muchensi froze in place, watching Yuli get into the car and leave. His own girlfriend didn't know him well? Then again, that made sense. Someone like Bo Jingmo, who never showed emotion on the surface, few people could ever guess what he was really thinking. But, why had Yuli told her this? Had she also noticed something strange? Is that why she suddenly came back today? The team building was held at a large restaurant. After checking in, Yuli was led by a waiter to a private room. Inside was a massive round table several meters in diameter. Other than a few who couldn't make it, there were about 20 or 30 people present. Yuli wasn't exactly early, but she wasn't late either. Still, most people had arrived before her, and nearly every seat was already taken. Each area of the room seemed to be grouped by department. Yuli found the section for hers and sat down, acting as if she didn't notice the stares from those around her. The original Yuli had rarely attended these events, so most people didn't have a strong impression of her. When they thought of her department, the first name that came to mind was always Japan. So when a beautiful woman walked in and sat down, eyes couldn't help but drift her way. When they saw which department she sat with, someone quietly leaned over to ask one of the department members, "Hey, is she from your department?" The member looked just as stunned and shook their head in confusion. "I think, she's our minister. The one who always had the least presence. She looked like this?" The member suddenly started questioning their own memory. They tried to recall her face but realized they had never actually paid attention to her before. No matter how hard they thought, there was no clear image in their head. Japan was also on the guest list tonight. He was seated a few spots to Yuli's right. When he saw her, a flicker of surprise and awe crossed his face. Why did it feel like she'd gotten prettier since he last saw her? But nothing about her face had changed. Then he remembered what had happened a few days ago, and the awe in his eyes quickly turned into frustration. He'd missed his chance to turn in the file and had to go apologize to the teacher afterward. 111 had arrived early. When she saw Yuli enter, her expression was also surprised and shocked. Yuli was in the student council too. She'd thought it was just someone with the same name. But then, that image from the other day popped into her mind. She hesitated for a few seconds, then stood up and made her way around the table to sit beside Yuli. Yuli was sending a message to Bo Jingmo at the time. She looked up when someone called her. When she saw it was 111, her eyes curved into a smile. Senior, what a coincidence. 111. Coincidence, my. She knew Yuli was in the student council and didn't say a word. Still, now wasn't the time to quibble over details. She lowered her voice and asked, "What's your relationship with Bo Jingmo? I saw you two eating together the other day." Yuli raised her brows, copying her tone and responding with a quiet chuckle. "Aren't you close with the president? Why not just ask him directly?" 111. Obviously because I don't dare, that's why I'm asking you. She squinted at the woman in front of her, giving her a full head-to-toe scan. They're together? No way. It's only been a few days, how could they possibly be together already? That's faster than taking a rocket. But if they really were together. Wan's eyes flickered. She pressed her lips together and said, well, I'd advise you to keep your distance from Bojingmo. He's not someone you can just flirt with casually. Oh, I see. Yuli acted like she suddenly understood, giving her a grateful smile. Thanks for the advice, senior. I'll keep that in mind. Seeing her like that, Wan looked faintly annoyed and glanced at Yuli's outfit. Then she reassured herself it must all be in her head. There's no way Bojingmo would fall for Yuli. That day had to have been a fluke. Definitely. She stood up and went back to her seat. Yuli watched her leave, lightly tapping her phone screen with her fingertip, her expression unreadable as if lost in thought. Time ticked by and eventually, dinner was served. As the dishes were laid out, Wan, being the vice director, stood up and delivered the usual opening. Since the president couldn't make it today, I'll speak in his place. But he did say he's covering tonight's tab, so everyone, eat up. This team building is a chance for us to get to know each other and work better together in the future. As soon as she finished, someone called out, the president is still so generous. We'll follow him to the end. The mood immediately livened up, with everyone chatting and laughing. Just then, Jopan came over with a wine glass in hand and stood in front of Yuli. Yuli, what happened a few days ago was my fault. I was too busy with papers and classes, and didn't have the energy to keep up with the group chat. I didn't realize you were also busy during that time, so the task got delayed. Because of that, I got chewed out by the teacher. From now on, let's work together to run the department properly. Yeah. Yuli raised her eyebrows. This speech, why does it sound so passive-aggressive? She let out a soft laugh and leaned back in her chair, speaking with interest. I didn't have time to do it. After a pause, she lifted her eyelids and glanced at him lightly. Are you sure I'm the one who didn't have time to do it? This Jopan still thinks she's the same Yuli from before. Seeing that everyone around was now paying attention, Jopan's smile began to falter. He forced a laugh. I know you did a bit, but if you didn't have time later on, you should have told me. That way I could arrange someone else. Everything he said was implying that Yuli hadn't done her job properly. It was Yuli's first time meeting such a ridiculous person. She couldn't hold back a slight curl of her lips, not giving Jopan a shred of face. Jopan, I didn't just do a bit, I did half of it by myself, and even stayed up late to finish it for you. I left the other half for you. Is that a problem? I remember saying it in the group chat, but no one seemed to respond, right? As she said this, Yuli swept her gaze over the other members. Those people instinctively avoided her eyes. It wasn't that they didn't want to do it, it's just that their minister had such a low presence that they selectively ignored her messages. Then they just forgot about it altogether. Jopan couldn't keep his smile at all now. He frowned, about to say something, when Yuli calmly spoke, don't tell me it's my responsibility or whatever. All I know is that I've done what I was supposed to. If you don't care about the rest, then that's on you. Back in her previous life at the company, no one could get her to work overtime. And now she was in school not only unpaid, but they wanted her to do all the work like a slave? What a joke. Seeing the atmosphere getting cold, Wan quickly stood up to smooth things over. It's fine. Now that it's out in the open, everything's good. Let's all work together from now on. If there's a conflict, just talk it out. But Jopan clearly didn't want to let it go. He set down his wine glass and looked at Yuli with a dark expression. Yuli, don't you think what you said was a little selfish? Everyone has times when they can't manage. What's the harm in helping someone out? At that, the girl simply looked at him expressionlessly. Then she said two words, completely calm, will die. Jopan. And that wasn't even the end of it. She curved her eyes and added, also, I just don't want to help you. Got a problem with that? Jopan, she's not even pretending anymore. His face instantly twisted. Yuli felt nothing about it. She hated dealing with this kind of person, what a waste of time. She glanced at the time, planning to have Bojingmo come pick her up, when Jopan suddenly let out a cold laugh. So what, you're saying there's something wrong with me being the minister? Yuli's hand paused. She almost laughed out loud. There definitely was something wrong. In her memory, this Jopan always talked big in front of teachers and others, acting like he had everything under control. But in reality, Yuli was the one handling everything. He just sent a message and claimed all the credit. Yeah, there's a problem. Yuli said it honestly, blinking. You've finally realized it yourself. Want to resign? I'm actually picking candidates for a new minister right now. Some people are definitely more capable than you. Jopan was indignant. Why should I resign? Why not you? The situation suddenly turned tense. A few members watched the two ministers argue and didn't know what to do. They turned pleading eyes to Wan. But Wan was also getting a headache. She forced down her inner frustration and said, okay, let's not talk about this now. We just wanted to have a nice dinner together. Jopan shouted, I was trying to talk nicely. She's the one who was aggressive first. Yuli's eyes were calm, arms crossed as she watched Jopan try to seize the upper hand in front of everyone. She waited for him to finish before slowly saying, Jopan, everything I've done has a process and backup saved on my computer. Do you? Jopan's face froze. Of course he didn't. He always just submitted the final version and deleted the rest as fast as he could. Yuli saw the stiffness on his face and smiled. You don't, right? I'm really curious about people like you. What's going on in your head? I wasn't even rushing to speak, but you just had to jump out first. She looked toward 111, eyes curving. Senior, if there's a toxic person like this in the department who likes to steal credit, how do you usually deal with them? 111 paused, then instinctively replied, dismissal, removal of bonus points, and depending on the severity, it goes on their record. But we need to notify the president first. Joe Pan's pupils contracted. He could already guess what Yuli was going to do. Sure enough, Yuli let out an "oh," then turned to him. Joe Pan, you're really lucky. This punishment isn't even that harsh. Joe Pan's throat went dry. He didn't expect Yuli to go this far. She used to just quietly accept things and keep working. Why was she so serious this time? He forced a smile. Yuli, this is a departmental issue. Let's settle it privately, no need to bother the president. Why not? The girl narrowed her eyes, smiling as she said each word clearly. I'm going to bother him. This Joe Pan really needed someone to bring him down a notch. Just then, her phone rang. It was Bojingmo calling. Yuli glanced at the contact name, picked up, and held the phone to her ear. Lily, have you eaten? I'm coming to pick you up. The man's deep voice came through, warm and gentle. Yuli's eyes curved, and she slowly said, so it's President Bo. Perfect. I have something to talk to you about. That name stunned everyone on both sides. 111's eyes went wide. She couldn't believe Yuli was actually talking to Bojingmo on the phone. Even Bojingmo froze at that address. Realizing something might have happened, his smile disappeared, and his brows furrowed. What's wrong? Did something happen? Yuli looked at Joe Pan across from her and said slowly, well, our department's minister has some issues. I don't think he's fit for the position anymore. But I heard we need to talk to you first before replacing a minister. The smile in Bojingmo's eyes completely vanished. His voice turned cold. Send me his name. I'll take care of it. Okay, I'll sort it out and send it to you later. That's all for now. Yuli hung up, then messaged Bojingmo to wait for her at the door. She glanced over Joe Pan's shocked face, then at the other members' confused expressions. She smiled, kindly saying, all right, now we just wait for the results. If any of you are interested in running for minister, let me know. With that, she picked up her bag from the seat, turned, and walked out of the private room. Everyone in the room was still stunned. Wait, that's it? Just like that? The few members looked at each other. Their eyes were just as shocked as everyone else's. Was this minister really low profile before? But honestly, kinda cool. 111, still seated, clenched her fist silently. Her gaze was dark and unreadable. So there really was something off between Bojingmo and Yuli. And just as everyone was still dazed, they saw the silent Joe Pan suddenly run out. Yuli. His face twisted in rage as he stared down the hallway at the woman, shouting loudly, who gave you the right to remove me from my position? Just because you have something going on with the president, you think you can just fire someone however you like. Yuli turned her head at his words, her gaze calm as she replied, first of all, this isn't just firing. I brought out evidence. She looked at Joe Pan. Second, I'm also resigning from the position of minister myself. Yuli knew she didn't have the same selfless dedication the original host had, so she never intended to keep the role. Plus, with Bojingmo being the president, staying in the position would only bring unnecessary scrutiny to her boyfriend. Even if Bojingmo didn't mind, it was a public image he'd carefully maintained, and Yuli didn't want him to ruin it because of her. Joe Pan hadn't expected her to say that. His eyes clearly froze for a second, and whatever words he'd prepared got stuck in his throat. When his gaze met her cool, fox-like eyes, he opened his mouth but didn't say anything before watching her slowly walk toward him. The woman wore a smile on her face, but if one looked closely, her eyes were completely indifferent. Joe Pan, I told you that was the lightest punishment you'd get. And your real retribution is far from over. The floor lamp cast a blinding reflection on the tiled floor, and at her feet, a faint trace of eerie black mist crept out so faint it was almost invisible, slithering across the ground and climbing up Joe Pan's body. The surrounding temperature suddenly seemed to plummet. Joe Pan couldn't help but shiver. His pupils contracted as he instinctively stepped back, a strange numbness crawling across his scalp. What the hell? Why does it feel so weird all of a sudden? Before he could react, Yuli turned and walked away. Joe Pan was about to chase after her when something suddenly tripped him, and he fell hard onto the floor. His knee slammed into the cold, solid tile with a loud thud, and sharp pain shot through his leg. His face twisted in agony as he let out a pained scream. What the HLL, Joe Pan cursed under his breath, his face dark as he looked at the spot he'd just walked past. But the floor was clean, nothing there at all. It was like he'd tripped over thin air. Joe Pan had no choice but to suppress his urge to explode. A nearby waiter saw him fall and rushed over to help. Just as he was being lifted up, another server holding a glass of water lost grip. Water spilled directly all over Joe Pan. The glass hit the ground and shattered, and a shard even scraped his exposed skin. Joe Pan. My life. Meanwhile, Yuli had just closed the car door when the man beside her unbuckled his seatbelt and leaned in, gently brushing her cheek. His voice was soft. Someone made you mad? Yuli leaned back in the seat, smiled at him. Nope. He's not even worth getting mad over. I just haven't run into someone that ridiculous in a while. It's almost funny. Bojingmo lowered his head and kissed her. It's fine. I'll get revenge for you. Hearing that, Yuli raised an eyebrow and wrapped her arms around his neck. President Bo, are you abusing your power for personal reasons? Yes. The man admitted it without hesitation, his eyes curving. Don't worry. I can do it quietly. Wow, he really said that like it was perfectly normal. My boyfriend is so impressive. Yuli leaned in with a bright smile and kissed him. But I've already punished him. No need to waste any more time, there's still a lot we have to do. Yuli was mentally far more mature than Jopan. She saw him as nothing more than a brat who hadn't entered the real world yet. A little lesson was enough, no need for full-on war. Bo Jingmo suppressed the emotion in his eyes and chuckled softly. Whatever you say. He brought Yuli back to the villa. Mu Hehe was sitting on the sofa watching TV. When he noticed they were back, the little one's eyes lit up. He ran over with little thumping steps. Uncle, you're home? Teacher, you're here too. Yuli bent down and patted his head. Hehe, were you home all by yourself today? That's really impressive. Mu Hehe stared at her face without blinking. He really liked this teacher? Uncle sure had great taste. Bo Jingmo's expression, on the other hand, was far less pleasant. He'd nearly forgotten they had this little troublemaker at home. He grabbed Yuli's hand and pulled her behind him, then spoke to the nearby housekeeper. Take him to bathe and sleep. Mu Hehe blinked. Okay. Once the kid finally left, Bo Jingmo hurriedly dragged Yuli into the bedroom. Seeing him like that, Yuli couldn't help but laugh. Bo Jingmo, we seriously look like we're having an affair right now. The man closed the door and buried his head in the crook of her neck, his voice stuffy. That's why I said we should send him back. Yuli raised an eyebrow and teased, but isn't he cute? The house feels so lively now. Bo Jingmo looked up at her. Their eyes met, and in his dark pupils, a flash of grievance was clear. No, he didn't like this kind of lively. He only wanted the house to have him and Yuli. Yuli sighed. Yep, still the same as before. She reached out and hugged him, resting her head on his shoulder. Her voice carried a soft smile. At least let me finish a few more classes, okay? Suddenly catching his scent, her eyes flickered slightly, and she spoke with a bit of curiosity. You sprayed the perfume I bought. With his delicate beauty in his arms, Bo Jingmo's eyes darkened, like ink that couldn't be diluted. He leaned down and kissed her earlobe. Yes. Do you like the scent? In the dim room, her voice whispered lightly. My dear online friend. Thinking of that ridiculous misunderstanding, Bo Jingmo pressed his lips together, then said in a low voice after a pause, Lily, at the time, I really thought, if you fell for someone else, I'd kill him. Yuli just chuckled lightly. I know. She'd seen it. You don't think that's a little terrifying? Bo Jingmo held her tighter, a flicker of red flashing in his eyes. Yuli lifted her head. Terrifying. Her gaze swept inch by inch across Bo Jingmo's face, finally locking onto those jet black eyes. She slowly raised her hand, warm fingertips brushing over his eyes, then sliding down to his chest. Her tone was casual. Bo Jingmo, if we're talking terrifying, then I'm probably scarier than you. I'm more ruthless than you think. Would that scare you? She looked up at him and said, we're the same kind of people. Why would we be afraid of each other? Bo Jingmo's pupils shrank slightly. His arms around her instinctively tightened. After a brief silence, he suddenly chuckled lowly. Yuli, I keep thinking, why didn't I meet you earlier? If he had, maybe he wouldn't have turned out like this. Now it was Yuli's turn to fall quiet. She lowered her gaze and said softly, Bo Jingmo, it's not too late. If this world really was a novel, and Bo Jingmo hadn't become the big villain yet, then it meant the story had only just begun. She gently touched his face. We still have plenty of time. More than in her past life. The man lowered his head obediently, gazing at her in silence. His long eyes curved slightly as he whispered, you're right. This much, he was already satisfied. He wouldn't ask for more. In the dim room, it was all too easy for intimacy to bloom. It wasn't clear who moved first, or maybe they just naturally leaned into each other's kiss. Unlike their usual fiery passion, this time their entanglement was soft and tender. As the room gradually heated up, footsteps suddenly sounded outside the door, followed by Mu Hehe's bright little voice. Uncle, I'm here to sleep with you. He came to bring warmth to his dear uncle, Bo Jingmo. Yuli couldn't hold back her laughter. Bo Jingmo, your precious nephew really is adorable. Meanwhile, back at home, Wan was still thinking about what had happened that night. Were Bo Jingmo and Yuli really together? Her gaze fell to the photo on her phone, her mind a mess. Should she tell her aunt? But her aunt had told her to spend more time with Bo Jingmo, and now someone else had beat her to it. No, it's not confirmed yet. I can't jump to conclusions so quickly. Wan shook her head, trying to shake the thoughts out. Just then, the sound of the front door opening rang out, and she stood up instinctively. When she saw the woman who had come in, she quickly turned off her phone screen and softly called out, Auntie, you're back. Yu Jiao changed out of her shoes and responded with an Her eyes fell on Wan's outfit. You haven't washed up yet. No, I just got back from a team building event. Wan smiled. I'll go in a bit. Team building, huh? Yu Jiao sighed with emotion. So young. I used to do that a lot with classmates when I was in college too. She looked at Wan. Bo Jingmo still didn't go. At the mention of his name, Wan's body stiffened. No. She tightened her grip on her phone and smiled. You know he never goes to these kinds of things. Yu Jiao chuckled. True, that kid's always been like that. She headed upstairs. I'm going to my room. You should rest early too. Okay, Auntie. As she watched the woman go upstairs, Wan let out a barely audible sigh of relief. Even though her aunt always seemed gentle and elegant, Wan couldn't help but feel nervous around her. She glanced down at the photo on her phone, pressed her lips together, and still didn't delete it. She'd wait until she figured everything out before saying anything to her aunt. The next day, Yuli followed the usual routine to tutor Mu Hehe. Bo Jingmo had gone out, so it was just the two of them at home. Maybe it was because Bo Jingmo wasn't around, but Mu Hehe was bolder today. Halfway through his homework, he tilted his head and blinked at Yuli. Yuli blinked back. What is it? Is there something you don't understand? Mu Hehe shook his head. His soft white cheeks had a little dent where he'd poked himself with his pen. He looked extra sweet. Teacher, are you my aunt? Yuli was caught off guard. Those two titles together just sounded a little weird. Once she recovered, she smiled. What do you think? I think you are. Mu Hehe blinked his big black eyes. Is my uncle still chasing after you? He frowned. I heard Mom say they tried to set uncle up with someone before, but he didn't like any of them. I can tell he really likes you. Yuli raised an eyebrow, amused. Oh, they tried setting him up. But Bo Jingmo's still in college, wasn't that a bit much? Her eyes flickered as she rested her chin on her hand, looking at Mu Hehe. So, what's your uncle's relationship with his family like? He's never really talked about it with me. Of course he wouldn't. Mu Hehe was eager to talk, more less time writing homework that way. Uncle doesn't like Grandpa, so he never goes home. Mom said Grandpa did something Uncle didn't like and made him mad, that's why he won't go back. Yuli looked thoughtful. I see. She patted Mu Hehe's head, just about to speak when the little guy sighed like a mini adult. I originally came to bring some warmth to Uncle, but I guess it's not needed now. Uncle has teacher, you're enough. Bring warmth? Yuli thought back to last night when the man's face darkened with anger and couldn't help but laugh. Your uncle will definitely appreciate how thoughtful you are. Mu Hehe looked up at her. Teacher, when I go home, can I tell Mom that I'm getting an aunt? Nope. Yuli winked playfully, her tone gentle. Your uncle hasn't won me over yet. Let's wait until he does, okay? This'll be our little secret with your uncle, alright? Okay, I'll guard this secret for Uncle. Mu Hehe beamed. I'm great at keeping secrets. Yuli smiled and patted his head. Good boy, now let's get back to homework, little Hehe. Mu Hehe, oh. Yuli sat beside him, keeping an eye on him, but her mind was replaying what Mu Hehe had said. So Bo Jingmo's relationship with his family wasn't exactly great. When Bo Jingmo came home that evening, Yuli had dinner with him, not mentioning any of it. She also asked Mu Hehe to keep quiet about today's lesson. Don't tell his uncle. Little Mu Hehe was very cooperative, solemnly swearing he wouldn't say a word. Yuli didn't plan to ask either. If her little boyfriend wanted to talk, he'd bring it up himself. Several days passed without entering an instance. That night, as they were about to sleep, the man suddenly hugged her and mumbled, Lily, the system reminded me I'm going into an instance tonight. Hearing him mention the system, Yuli suddenly realized she'd never seen Bo Jingmo's system, the one they called the film set system. She asked her own system mentally, can I see Bo Jingmo's system? In theory, no, sis. You're not a player, the system responded quickly. But I can copy everything for you. You can look at mine and pretend you're seeing his. That's a thing? Well, worth a try. Yuli looked up. Bo Jingmo, I want to see your system. Bo Jingmo froze. He lowered his head and asked gently, Lily, you can see it? Yes. After all, a system's a system. Hers was just a little different from his. The lamp by the bed switched on, casting a dim yellow glow across the room. Bo Jingmo opened his system and handed it to Yuli. Meanwhile, the little glowing orb had already prepared itself. The moment Bo Jingmo displayed the interface, it began turning into a light screen to copy the content for Yuli. But before it could finish, Yuli suddenly said, no need. I can see Bo Jingmo's system directly. The little orb, huh? Sigma, you for real? Sis, you can see the instance system. Yep. Yuli reached out and swiped her finger across the interface. I can even scroll. The system was completely dumbfounded. Was it because her soul had entered too many instances, and she'd absorbed some player energy? That, actually kind of made sense. The glowing orb quietly turned back into its normal shape and perched on Yuli's shoulder. Yuli's eyes schemed across the system interface quickly. The contents were about the same as what the little orb had shown her before. The only difference was the addition of a message tab and a shop tab. She tried to click on the shop, but a pop-up appeared. Sorry, your level is too low to access the shop. Unlock requirement, 8 stars, 888, get rich. A shop needed 8 stars to unlock. In that moment, Yuli suddenly realized something was very wrong. If 10 stars was the highest level, and it took at least 8 stars to unlock the shop, then for the system to expect transactions, 8 stars must be a threshold that many people could reach. Bo Jingmo was already at 7 stars. She had thought leveling up would be slow, but it turned out to be faster than expected. If that was the case, then people would end up clustered at the same level range, which could skew the rankings. Unless, 10 stars was only a baseline for newbies. Once you reached the foundational 8 stars, only then would the system acknowledge your ability and open the shop to you. Yuli narrowed her eyes, tapping the screen with her fingertip as she thought carefully. So, high-level players in the instance weren't relying on star rankings at all. Only those who surpassed 10 stars could catch a glimpse of the true form of the instance. Beside her, Bo Jingmo seemed to recall something. He wrapped his arm around her and spoke in a low voice, after I met you for the first time, the instance started allowing NPCs to be rated. Yuli froze. Rating NPCs. What's the point of that? Why would the instance system go through so much effort to rank NPCs? Yuli pondered for a moment, then smiled at Bojingmo. Alright, I'm done. You can put it away. What this move from the system truly meant might only become clear later. Bojingmo stored away his system, his lips pressed together. Lily, in the instance, I don't want to lay a hand on you anymore. He wanted to stand openly and proudly by Yuli's side. Yuli paused at his words. Bojingmo, you know this is your task. Players entered instances to do whatever it took to raise their rating. She raised her head and kissed his cheek, speaking gently to reassure him. Actually, I have a system too. It helps me inside the instances. If you kill me, my soul will be extracted, it won't hurt. In reality, her system didn't do that. Her soul could only be pulled out after her physical body was completely dead. But it wouldn't hurt, those entities would absorb the pain for her. Yuli, besides, even if it's not you who kills me, others will come for me anyway. She couldn't go around killing every player, but she also couldn't play the role of a perfectly good NPC. Bojingmo fell silent, hugging her tightly, burying his face in the crook of her neck with his eyes shut. Yuli reached out and ruffled his hair with a smile. President Bo, if you really feel bad for me, how about transferring me some money every time you come back from an instance? At that, low laughter rose from the man's throat by her neck. The stifling gloom in his chest cleared, and he raised his head to kiss her. Sure. Everything I have is yours. Yuli nodded. All right. Sleep. The actual gameplay would have to be figured out inside the instance. You are a group of ordinary junior students from a university, and you all have one mutual friend named Shen Yuyu. Shen Yuyu not only excels in her studies, but she's also elegant, gentle, and the only daughter of a wealthy businessman. Her family is incredibly rich, and countless people have tried to pursue her. Yet one day, this campus queen mysteriously vanished. There was no news of her from the school, and no one answered her phone. As her friends, you were deeply worried. More than 10 days passed like that, until suddenly, you received an invitation from Shen Yuyu herself. She explained that she had been sick and recovering at home, and invited you all to visit, saying there would be a banquet at her house. Shen Yuyu's home is famously extravagant, and her banquets are never ordinary. Tempted by curiosity, you all wanted to see what kind of gathering it would be. But when you arrived at the address, there was still no sign of Shen Yuyu. After some investigation, you discovered she was still missing. A daughter missing, yet the rich father hosts a banquet as usual. Out of concern for your friend, you decide to stay and uncover the truth. And from this point on, you've stepped fully into the mystery of this manor. Friendly tip, for first-time instance players, this is a roleplay type instance. All players must follow their assigned character settings during the plot and tasks. If the main system or audience notices inconsistencies, you will be penalized for breaking character, with point deductions depending on the severity. With that, good luck to all players. On a winding road in the suburbs, sleek black luxury cars drove one after another. The mountain forest flanking the road was still and quiet. Dense trees blocked out the already faint light, creating a deep, pitch-black darkness within. All exits from the forest were fenced off by iron bars. At the end of the road stood a massive estate atop a mountain peak. The sun was hidden by thick clouds, which churned darkly above. The towering mansion loomed beneath the overcast sky, radiating an eerie, oppressive aura. The cars pulled into the estate in order, parking neatly in the open area. Drivers in black suits got out in unison, opening the rear doors and bowing in a polite gesture. 5 people stepped out of the cars. They exchanged glances, silently confirming the group of instance entrants. Their expressions were complicated. Yixian got out and looked around, wanting to locate her teammates. She followed the squad link to the car on the outer edge. But when she saw the woman stepping out, her expression froze. Muchinsi. Muchinsi gave a slight nod. You can just call me Chinsi. Yixian stared at her unfamiliar face, clearly shocked. Why does your face look nothing like it does in real life? Skill, Muchinsi answered concisely. My skill allows me to change my face for the entire duration of the instance. She couldn't afford for Bojingmo to recognize her, this was her only option. Yixian instantly understood. She nodded, then glanced toward the others. When her eyes landed on a familiar man, she paused slightly, turning to see Muchinsi staring in that direction too. That's Bojingmo, she whispered. Muchinsi responded with a quiet do you know the other two? Yixian looked and shook her head. No, never seen them before. I know the guy, Wu Bei. He's an old member of Peace, Muchinsi said as her eyes flicked to the girl beside him. If an old member is here, that girl must be Peace's new teammate. Yixian half understood, half didn't he? She remembered the system notification saying this instance was different and asked in confusion, what does the roleplay part mean this time? Muchinsi looked at her. It's a type of performance-based instance. Not like before where everyone just entered as a single team. Even if you had roles, they weren't critical. But roleplay instances are different. Everyone's identity is tied to the main plot. You can't break character when acting it out. Muchinsi pointed at herself, the other girl, and Yixian. For example, the 3 of us are Shen Yuyu's roommates. That's why we were invited. Yixian blinked. Oh, I see. Since the story hadn't officially started yet, Muchinsi went ahead and explained the relationships. The 3 of us girls are Yuyu's roommates. Wu Bei is one of her suitors. Bo. She paused briefly when she got to Bojingmo, then narrowed her eyes and slowly finished. Bojingmo is. Shen Yu's boyfriend. At the same time, inside the estate, in a pitch-black room, shielded from all light, a woman lay on a large bed. The bed canopy draped down, shrouding her alluring figure in mystery. Her waist-length curls spilled across the sheets like seaweed, blending seamlessly with the darkness. Outside the door, a maid knocked gently and said respectfully in a low voice, "Madam, Miss Shen's classmates have arrived." The woman on the bed slowly opened her eyes at the words. Her fox-like gaze glowed with a pair of bewitching red pupils, dazzling like blood-red rubies in the dark. Her skin was pale to an extreme, almost translucent, with veins faintly visible beneath. She looked languid, stretching lazily before speaking in a soft voice, the tips of her small fangs barely visible at the corners of her lips. "Got it." And when Zhang Shi saw Bo Jingmo standing there, a trace of surprise flashed across her face. Wu Bei followed her gaze and asked, "You know him?" Zhang Shi pressed her lips together and replied, "We used to team up in a newbie instance." Wu Bei had heard about Bo Jingmo from others, and upon hearing this, surprise flickered in his eyes. He didn't expect to meet the real person so soon. A newcomer with great power, but also very dangerous. He couldn't help but take a few more glances. "So, are you going to say hi?" Wu Bei said, "My role here doesn't make it easy to talk to him. After all, his identity was just Shen Yu's pursuer, while Bo Jingmo was the official boyfriend." Zhang Shi shook her head. "No need. Maybe later, if there's a chance." Mainly because she wouldn't know what to say. She and Bo Jingmo weren't teammates anymore. Before long, a man who looked like a butler walked up. He gave them a gentle smile, his voice warm and elegant. "Good morning, everyone. I'm the steward of the manor. My surname is Wang, you can call me Steward Wang. Miss Shen specifically instructed me to take good care of you. However, she's still unwell and can't greet you personally. Please forgive her." As he spoke, he made a gesture of invitation, with a flawless smile on his face. "However, our master and madam are already waiting for you in the dining room. I am here, ha ha ha. What is this? What is this? A horror manor? Oh spooky. So many familiar faces." Wu Bei and, holy sh*t, is that mutancy? She used a skill already? And both of them are here? Guys, I've figured it out. Zhang Shi joined peace. Didn't you see Wu Bei standing next to her? Clearly here to help her clear the instance. Okay, yeah, looks like it. Last time I saw Sen Xiu clearing an instance with them, maybe he pulled them into the team. Then why is mutancy here? I thought Yi Xian already brought her in? She might be part of Deva now. What about Bo Jingmo? Maybe he joined Deva too. 2 intermediate players in 1 round, 666, is this going to be a speedrun? Hard to say. This is a roleplay instance, each player has a different character. You've got to finish the mission without breaking character. Gonna be tricky. Totally. I've seen this kind of instance before. Some players have awkward identities like they're supposed to kill the protagonist, but the mission requires saving them. Ha ha ha, that's nothing. I saw an even more dramatic one where a player's character was the NPC's lover but had to personally kill them in the end. Brutal. Ha ha ha. Hey, upstairs, is this your first time watching Bo Jingmo's instance? He's a pro at this stuff. Huh? Bro above, you must be clueless. Let me educate you, that super handsome guy, see him? He's basically the wife killer specialist. Dante put it like that. I was lucky enough to catch the last instance he got killed by a hot NPC. Hee. Point is, never ship him with anyone. It's guaranteed to end badly. That bad? But I saw in the character intro, he's Shen Yu's boyfriend. It's always like this. They just said it earlier this time. Chill. Ivy already predicted the plot. Either he saves the girlfriend, or the girlfriend turns into a ghost and kills him. No ship is strong enough to shake this dead lake of a heart. That CP came out fast. I was still wondering which NPC Bo Jingmo would ship with. Guess that mystery's solved. The group followed the steward through several corridors and arrived at the dining room. A male attendant opened the door for them, revealing a grand and resplendent hall. Servants stood by the door, and as they entered, bowed and greeted, "Good morning, sir/ma'am." Inside was a long rectangular table covered with a white lace cloth. On it were intricately carved vases, fresh flowers dewy as if freshly picked, and a wide array of colorful, delicious-looking food. It felt like they had stepped into a Central European palace, attending a noble family's banquet. Seated at the main spot in the middle of the table was an elderly man with snow-white hair, smiling as he looked at them. "You must be my daughter's classmates. Please, sit. The journey must have been tiring." The group looked at each other and hesitantly took their seats. The old man chuckled and was just about to speak when his face suddenly changed. He turned away and let out a painful coughing fit. Cough, cough, cough. A nearby servant quickly stepped up to help him breathe and handed him a handkerchief. The old man's face grew paler, a strange black aura faintly showing between his brows. His lips were slightly purple, and the deep wrinkles on his face looked like the bark of an ancient tree, loose and cracked, making his smile even eerier. He covered his mouth with the handkerchief, gave Zhang Shi and the others an apologetic smile, and said in a hoarse voice, Sorry. I'm getting old, and my health's been deteriorating." He picked up his water glass and took a sip before continuing, "I'm Shen Yu's father. You can call me Uncle Shen." Looking at an NPC who looked old enough to be their grandpa, the group of players fell silent. Shen Yu's dad was really old. Master Shen seemed oblivious to their silence and continued politely, "Yu's not feeling well lately and can't meet guests. but she specially told me to treat you all well. Originally, her mom was supposed to be here too, but she might have caught something. She's feeling under the weather too, hope you understand. Steward Wang, standing by, quickly lowered his head and respectfully replied, Master, Mary said Madam is already up and will be here soon. Master Shen looked surprised. Oh, didn't she say she was very tired and wanted to rest a bit more? Before Steward Wang could answer, a woman's charming laugh rang out from the doorway. Master, really, do you have to put it like that? You're making me look bad. The grand doors opened, and a slender, graceful figure walked into the room. She wore a purple silk gown, the hem trailing lightly over her feet, revealing a glimpse of black high heels. A black fox fur shawl was draped casually over her arms. Her fair wrist was adorned with a golden bracelet and a translucent jade bangle, highlighting her delicate skin. Her jet black, waterfall-like hair flowed down her back, her demeanor lazy and elegant. A black veil hung from her hat, covering most of her face, only her curved red lips peeked through. I may be unwell, but these are Yu's classmates. Wouldn't it be rude if I didn't show up? The maid behind her remained cold and composed, quietly closing the sun umbrella and standing aside with her gaze lowered. And upon seeing the woman who had just arrived, all the players were stunned. This was, clearly, the livestream chat wasn't buying it either. WTF? That's the old man's wife? Holy sh*t, we can't see her face, but judging by the voice and body, that's definitely a bombshell. Wait, why though? I know the answer to that because the old man's loaded. Nice match. She doesn't care about looks, and he doesn't care about money. I am dying. I thought we'd see a gentle auntie, didn't expect a seductive stunner. Rich families really know how to play, huh? Said like a bumpkin in awe. D*MN, is the old man even up for it? What kind of up for it are we talking? Care to elaborate? He. The players' eyes are all locked in, ha 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 ha. Shocked, huh? That's the dirty secret of the rich. Yuli sat next to Master Shen, resting her chin in her hand as she smiled lightly. Sorry, everyone. I've got a bit of a facial rash lately and don't want to scare you, so I have to appear like this. Her gaze swept across the group, and when it passed over Bo Jingmo's face, her eyes flickered. You're all Yu's classmates. The woman narrowed her eyes, sighed softly, and said with a hint of helplessness, that girl, really. She only told me some friends were coming, but didn't say who exactly. Can you all give me your names? I'll add them to the banquet guest list. Master Shen also smiled and said, yes, Yu should have told you about the banquet. Just give your names to Aunt Lena, she's in charge of the banquet. Mu Chenxi was the first to speak. Hello, Madam Shen. I'm Mu Chenxi, Shen Yu's roommate. Upon hearing the name, Yuli tilted her head slightly, smiled, but didn't respond. Then Yi Xian followed right after. My name is Yi Xian, also Yu's roommate. Zhangxi, Madam Shen, I'm Zhangxi, Shen Yu's roommate as well. Wu Bei had a faint smile on his face. I'm Yu's classmate and also her class monitor. The other four all introduced themselves, except for one person who still hadn't spoken. Everyone instinctively turned to look at the man sitting on the far end, who had been silent the whole time. Yuli looked over as well, a strange red gleam flashing in her eyes as she gently asked, and this classmate, who are you to Shen Yuyo? Bo Jingmo lowered his eyes, staring at the porcelain plate in front of him, his cool gaze laced with some complicated, indescribable emotion. After a long moment, he pressed his lips together and slowly spoke. I'm Shen Yu's boyfriend. Bo Jingmo. The room suddenly fell into a strange silence for some reason. Master Shen was the first to break into laughter. Our Yuyu actually found herself a boyfriend, and she never told us? What do you think, madam? Did she say anything to you? Yuli leaned back in her chair, her whole figure shrouded in the shadow cast by the sunlight, exuding an elegant aura. I had no idea either. She spoke softly, so this really is a surprising bit of news. Just then, a servant brought over a glass filled with some kind of crimson liquid that shimmered under the light. The woman picked up the wine glass and gently swirled it, her fair fingertips glowing under the light. Yuli looked down at the contents with a slightly raised brow, her fox-like eyes lifting, the red and black hue in her pupils swirling faintly in the shadows. She raised the glass and drank it all in one go. Mary beside her handed over a handkerchief and said softly, Madam, it's about time to confirm the guest list. Yuli gave a slight nod, glanced over at Master Shen, and smiled. Master, I'll be going now. All right, go on. A doting smile spread across the old man's aged face. Let's have dinner together later. Yuli stood up, her gaze sweeping over everyone at the table. Enjoy your time at the manor. I'll take my leave. Bo Jingmo's eyes stayed on the woman's figure, and only after she disappeared through the door did he slowly withdraw his gaze. At that moment, Master Shen wiped his mouth and said, I've got something to take care of too. Steward Wang, after they're done eating, take these students to their rooms. Yes, Master. Steward Wang bowed respectfully. Once the two most intimidating NPCs left, the group finally relaxed a bit. Mu Chenxi picked up her knife and fork and started eating. Yi Xian noticed and was startled, whispering, but what if? This whole manner felt off. What if there was something wrong with the food? But Mu Chenxi only said one word, eat. In an instance of this level, they probably wouldn't poison you right at the beginning. Plus, with all the servants around, refusing to eat would only arouse suspicion from the NPCs and risk breaking character. That Steward Wang was clearly a major NPC, they couldn't afford to tip him off. Wu Bei obviously had the same idea and picked up his knife and fork to start eating. Seeing the two veteran players start eating, Yi Xian and Zhang Shi quickly followed suit. Only Bo Jingmo remained motionless. Steward Wang walked over, his face fixed in a polite smile, bending down to ask, Mr. Bo, why aren't you eating? Is the food not to your liking? I can have the chef prepare something else for you. Hearing this, the other four all looked up at Bo Jingmo. The man merely lifted his eyes lightly, his tone calm. Can I go see you first? I'm a bit worried about her. His words perfectly portrayed the image of a good boyfriend who couldn't eat because he was worried about his girlfriend. Steward Wang paused for a moment before replying apologetically, Sorry, Mr. Bo. The young lady hasn't wanted to see anyone due to her illness. Why? Bo Jingmo asked calmly. Not even her boyfriend? Maybe if you tell her it's me, she'll agree. We're very much in love, after all. Well, Steward Wang looked a little troubled. Then please wait a moment, I'll go ask her. Bo Jingmo, alright. Thank you. Steward Wang straightened up and quietly told a nearby servant, once they're done eating, take them to their rooms. Yes. Watching Steward Wang leave, the group quickly put down their utensils after a few bites and wiped their mouths as they stood up. Alright, we're full. With the most troublesome NPC gone, this was a rare opportunity. The servant lowered her gaze obediently. Then please follow me. Wu Bei gave Bo Jingmo an extra glance, a flicker of approval in his eyes. Didn't expect this newcomer to be so quick-witted. Bo Jingmo didn't seem to notice the look. He quietly picked up his things and followed the servant. Mu Chenxi also looked thoughtfully at Bo Jingmo's back. Judging by this, he really was helping the team out. That situation Yi Xian mentioned, could it have just been an accident? The servant led them to their respective rooms, then calmly said, You're free to explore the manor. Someone will come notify you at dinner time. Then, the maid suddenly looked up, her gaze sweeping over each of them. Just one thing, please do not go near the north wing. That's where the master and madam live. They don't like outsiders getting close. Her voice was calm and cold, not loud but echoing with silent pressure in the hallway. Upon hearing that, Bo Jingmo standing in the back slowly lowered his gaze. His eyelashes trembled slightly. His face remained expressionless, but his hands at his sides quietly clenched into fists. On the other side, inside a residence in the North District, thick curtains blocked the sunlight from outside the window. A luxurious crystal chandelier hung from the ceiling, and the warm lighting brightly illuminated the hall. The woman took off her hat and sat on the leather sofa with her legs crossed. Her seaweed-like hair cascaded down, further highlighting her delicate, petite face. Her red eyes were exposed openly in the air. She leaned back on the sofa, glancing to the side at Mary. How's the banquet preparation going? Before Mary could respond, the sound of clinking chains came from nearby. In the corner by the stairs, a disheveled girl was locked up. She wore a tattered white dress stained with blood. Her skin was shriveled, her body thin to the bone, with only skin and skeleton left. Her messy hair covered half her face, and her lips were cracked and full of dead skin. The girl stared fixedly at Yuli, her eyes glowing with a strange red light. Her expression was crazed, and chains bound her neck, hands, and feet. She looked like a lunatic from who knows where. Who would have thought this was the once elegant and gentle young lady of the Shen family, Shen Yuyu? Yuli glanced at her, then stood up and walked over slowly. Looking down at her from above, she curled her lips and said, What's wrong with our little Yuyu? So happy that a classmate came to visit. The girl didn't speak. She just stared at her, eyes locked in place. Her throat moved with difficulty, parched from long starvation. Yuli turned around and walked to the table, picking up a glass filled with thick blood. Looks like my good daughter is thirsty. Want some water? She squatted down with a smile and placed the glass in front of Shen Yuyu. The sweet scent of blood kept teasing Shen Yuyu's taste buds. She swallowed hard but eventually turned her gaze away, glaring fiercely at Yuli. Her voice came out hoarse, B***tch, let them go. Let them go. Yuli smiled with squinted eyes. That won't do. Young blood smells amazing. You smelled it too, didn't you? She seemed to be reminiscing, then curved her eyes. Oh right, I didn't know you had a boyfriend at school. What was his name again? Bo Jingmo? That's a nice name. Hearing that name, Shen Yuyu's pupils contracted. But then the woman leaned in slightly, her red lips curling as she slowly whispered with a teasing tone, and, your boyfriend's blood smells so good. He looks good too. Lena. Shen Yuyu screamed, what are you trying to do? B***tch? Don't you dare lay a finger on him. Get out of my house, you monster. Behind her, Mary paused at those words and looked up. Ah, that kind of talk doesn't sound very pleasant. Yuli propped up her chin with a troubled expression, lifting her gaze to glance at Shen Yuyu. Don't forget, you're basically a monster now too. She clapped her hands and stood up. Her face turned cold again, her tone casual as she lifted a hand. Force it down her throat. Yes, madam. With the order received, Mary stepped forward, picked up the glass, gripped Shen Yuyu's jaw with one hand, and forcibly poured it into her mouth without emotion. The sweet scent of blood filled her nose, triggering her taste buds instantly. But this thick, bloody liquid was still unacceptable to Shen Yuyu, who was only half human. No, I don't want it. I don't want to become like you. MMPH. She widened her eyes and shook her head in pain, trying to resist, but Mary was too strong, leaving no room for defiance. She could only tilt her head back and be forced to swallow the blood. The spilled liquid ran down her neck, leaving blood-red streaks across her pale skin. The dark red stains on her dress were covered again, sticking wetly to her body. Shen Yuyu's eyes gradually turned blank, and her swallowing turned from resistance to eager gulping, like a traveler long lost in the desert finally finding a sweet spring. Her trembling hands reached for the glass, and in the end, she finished the blood herself. As she continued to drink, the red in her pupils began to spread, glowing with an intense light. Yuli watched the entire scene. Her stunning red eyes were indifferent as her lips curled faintly. She turned around and headed upstairs. Clean her up and lock her back up. I'll come down after a rest. Yes, madam. The late arriving viewers froze briefly at the sight, and then the screen exploded with shock. Holy SHT, is this instance, vampires? Hot? Super hot? Loving this. Mom is so beautiful, he he he. So she's force-feeding blood to turn Shen Yuyo into one of them. No, looking at it this way, Shen Yuyo was already half vampire but kept refusing to be turned and wouldn't drink blood. Now she finally got a taste. Wait, was that old guy at the start seduced by the vampire too? Maybe? Back in the restaurant, I thought she was drinking carrot juice or watermelon juice, turns out it was blood? DMN, does that mean the whole manor has been seduced? Lena brought the students here to harvest their blood? No one noticed? She mentioned Bo Jingmo, right? He's Shen Yuyu's boyfriend. What's Lena planning? He 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 he. Dude, keep your pervy laugh in check. Everyone heard that. Even if the daughter and identities are fake, this is still so immersive, ha ha ha. Is this a forceful takeover? Or deliberate seduction? I give up, I'm trash, I like both. Upstairs, inside the room. Jija, did you really drink the blood at the start? Once the camera moved away, the system asked curiously. Yuli gathered her waist-length hair and stood by the wardrobe picking out clothes. No, I gave it to that little guy. The blood was too low quality. It smelled disgusting, so she just faked the action in front of everyone. The system blinked blankly. Little guy. Yuli, that one from the last instance. The system instantly understood it was that little evil spirit? Didn't expect him to be useful like that? Drinking blood isn't really a big deal. Yuli changed her clothes and stood in front of the mirror, looking at her own red eyes. Her gaze narrowed. It's just, these eyes are too obvious. One glance and people could tell something was off. But according to her NPC role, if she wanted to seduce everyone, she had to keep using the red eyes. And also, Yuli stared at the face in the mirror, her tone hard to read. This face is looking more and more like mine. Not the her from university now but her more mature past self. But with the vampire buff, it looked a bit different regardless. Jija, you don't like it? No, just sighing. Also, using my own face is kind of inconvenient. If a familiar person saw her, they might get suspicious. Plus, Bo Jingmo is a villain. In almost every instance, he ends up linked to people close to the protagonist. Yuli dropped her hand and walked over to the window, standing in the shadows as she looked down toward the players' dorms from above. Thinking of the players' roles this time, she gently curved her lips. I just didn't expect. Mutancy's here too. Not only that, but everyone's identity this time was really interesting. Especially, Bo Jingmo. The system perched on her shoulder, knowing exactly what she was thinking, softly reminded her, Jija, Bo Jingmo's character setting is fixed, he's Shen Yuyu's boyfriend. This time it's a roleplay style instance. It might be hard to change. Easy to change. Yuli pulled the curtains shut and replied lazily. If I seduce him, it doesn't count as breaking character. We'll split up and take a look. Best if we can find Shen Yuyu's room. Mutancy spoke to Yi Xian while packing up her things in the room. There wasn't much in the backpack that could be used, just some common daily items. Their phones had already been confiscated by that steward when they entered. He claimed it was to prevent them from leaking information about the manor. But in truth, it was to cut off all contact with the outside world. Zipping her black sun protective jacket all the way up, Mutancy turned to her. My character setting is that I'm the roommate who's always been jealous of Shen Yuyu, so in front of the NPCs, I might not always be able to help you. Yi Xian nodded. Got it. Don't worry, I'll act accordingly. Good. Seeing that she was on the same page, Mutancy felt relieved. If things feel off, just go along with what Zhangxi says. She's Shen Yuyu's bestie. Players closely tied to the protagonist usually face fewer problems. They opened the door together and walked out. Downstairs, they saw Zhangxi and the others, even Bo Jingmo was there. There were no NPCs nearby, so Mutancy greeted Wu Bei. This is a newbie your team brought, she said, her gaze sweeping over Zhangxi and Bo Jingmo. She genuinely found it hard to believe that Bo Jingmo would join Peace. Or rather, that Peace would invite Bo Jingmo to join. Though Peace and Deva were always at odds, the veteran members from both sides ran into each other often in instances. Over time, they got somewhat familiar, not as hostile as rumors claimed. Wu Bei gestured toward Zhangxi upon hearing this. This one's on our team. The meaning was clear, Bo Jingmo wasn't their teammate. Just then, Zhangxi spoke softly from the side. This is Bo Jingmo. We were teammates in a newbie instance before. Hearing this, Mutancy took a longer look at this new Peace team member. She had actually known about this person for a while. Zhangxi and her childhood friend Ho Liang were both new players, and both of them were on their observation list. Rumor had it their abilities were both luck-based. Mutancy hadn't seen it firsthand, only knew it was a rare type of skill. But how exactly it worked in an instance no one could say for sure. She had a flood of thoughts but still smiled and said, Oh, I'm also bringing along a new teammate. She then turned to Bo Jingmo and asked in a probing tone, "Are you solo queuing? Want to team up with us?" Her words made it seem like she was meeting Bo Jingmo for the first time. Before Bo Jingmo could respond, Wu Bei suddenly cut in, "He just teamed up with us." Mu Chenxi blinked in surprise. That fast? So she just missed the observation target like that? What she didn't know was it was Bo Jingmo who had approached Wu Bei. Wu Bei himself had been surprised. He and Zhang Shi were about to head out to search for clues when Bo Jingmo suddenly offered to help. After hearing others' descriptions of this newbie, Wu Bei had already been curious. Now that he finally had the chance, he quickly agreed. Anyway, if anything happened, he was a mid-level player, he should be able to handle it, right? Just then, Mu Chenxi's voice came through. "Wu Bei, can I run something by you?" "Wu Bei, go ahead, what is it?" "Let us join you in the search." "Why?" Mu Chenxi gave her reasoning with a calm face. "There's strength in numbers. Plus, we're two girls, and we're scared." Wu Bei, "Yeah, sure doesn't look like it." Then he remembered Mu Chenxi's reputation in Deva and swallowed down his sarcastic remark. Don't be fooled by her pretty face, she looked like a delicate vase, but in reality, this woman was a black belt in Taekwondo, a Sanda champion, and skilled in all kinds of martial arts. Besides, she wasn't wrong, more people meant more strength. Mu Chenxi had always been more dependable than most Deva members. So after a moment's thought, Wu Bei nodded. "Okay, let's go together." Meanwhile, Mu Chenxi's thoughts were much simpler. Not only did Wu Bei's team have a lucky teammate, but they also had Bo Jingmo, the mission target. Not joining them would be a huge loss. Hearing Wu Bei agree, she nodded in satisfaction. "Let's go then." Honestly, even if Wu Bei hadn't agreed, she would have just tagged along anyway, thick-skinned enough to follow them regardless. The manor was huge, and servants passed by them from time to time. But the servants were no longer as courteous as before. Now they acted like the players didn't exist, completely ignoring them. It was creepy. Mu Chenxi suggested, "That maid said the North District is where the master and madam live. I'm guessing Shen Yu's room would be there too. We could try heading to the North District." Wu Bei frowned. "Problem is, where is the North District? We don't have a map or our phones. If we wander around randomly, we might run into one of those NPCs." Whether it was Steward Wang, or the overly welcoming master and madam, they all seemed anything but friendly. Just then, Bo Jingmo spoke from the back in a calm voice, "Let Zhang Shi lead the way." Everyone turned to look at Zhang Shi. "Zhang Shi, you know the way." A confused Zhang Shi? "What the heck? I don't know." Mu Chenxi looked like she understood something. She raised her brow and stayed silent. "Sure enough," Bo Jingmo added, "she's lucky. Even if she walks randomly, she'll go the right way." Zhang Shi. "Bo Jingmo, you only teamed up with me because of that, huh? D***mn it, why does that actually make sense?" I am dead laughing, ha 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 ha. Zhang Shi's face is cracking. "Zhang Shi, Bo Jingmo, have some decency." You know, Zhang Shi thought Bo Jingmo came to her out of old team loyalty, but turns out he just wanted her luck skill. "Bo Jingmo, you're something else, ha 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 ha. So Zhang Shi's basically a walking cheat code? I'm dying? But seriously, Zhang Shi's skill is up. She might really find the way and avoid NPCs completely. No time to explain, this is the protagonist's charm, the power of destiny's chosen. Bo Jingmo is seriously trying this time, so active in the plot. What's he after? You just don't get it, do you? Look at his character setting. Bo Jingmo is Shen Yu's boyfriend. With his girlfriend missing, of course he's freaking out trying to find her. The players don't know it yet, but what they're dealing with isn't a regular ghost, but vampires. I heard vampires pick someone for their first embrace, is that true? If that madam is a vampire, does she kill by drinking blood? Damn, that's way too sensual. Slurp slurp. I get you, brother. Imagine blood dripping from those beautiful lips, and then a little tongue flick to lap it up. Slurp slurp. But don't forget there are two mid-level players in this group. Vampires aren't gonna have it easy. True. It's not like anyone would be dumb enough to offer their neck to be bitten, right? As it turns out, Zhang Shi really did have amazing luck. Not only did they find the North District, but they didn't run into a single NPC along the way. Even Wu Bei glanced at her in surprise and laughed. "Zhang Shi, your skill is incredible." Zhang Shi adjusted her glasses and gave a polite smile without responding. She didn't know why, but she kept feeling like she was being treated as a human GPS. This was also her first time realizing, so that's how her skill could be used. The houses in the North District were easy to recognize. Not only did they look more luxurious than the others, but there were also fewer windows. Facing away from the sun, and surrounded by tall trees, the house was completely shrouded in dark shadows. "This place is way too gloomy," Yi Xian muttered. "Are we sure the stuff inside won't be all damp and moldy?" Mu Chenxi looked up, and whatever she saw made her expression stiffen slightly. "I don't know if the stuff inside is moldy, but I do know we might be in trouble." As she spoke, she pointed to several pitch-black surveillance cameras around the villa. In the dim corners, the indicator lights on the machines were clearly blinking. It was obvious they were active, and that oppressive red glow gave off an inexplicable sense of dread. Everyone followed her line of sight, and a wave of tension hit them all at once when they saw the cameras. Zhang Shi's pupils shrank in shock as she muttered, "That's full 360-degree coverage without any blind spots. Also, why would this kind of camera even exist in an instance?" Wu Bei was examining the cameras too, frowning. "Strange. I didn't see cameras anywhere else, but this place is packed with them. almost like someone is under constant surveillance. But compared to the cameras, their current situation was even trickier. Mu Chenxi's face was grim. If there were cameras by the front door, that meant their movements had likely already been exposed. Sure enough, just as the group hesitated at the entrance, a soft, smiling woman's voice suddenly came from behind them. "How did you all end up here, classmates?" That sweet and gentle voice sounded like a silent death sentence. It was the height of summer, but everyone broke into a cold sweat. They whipped their heads around. The woman they had seen that morning was now standing not far away. She had changed into a black spaghetti strap dress. The shawl draped over her shoulders was light and thin, and the lace trim made her pale chest stand out even more. Her hair fell in jet black waves, and the black lace hat veil covered part of her face, making it hard to get a clear look at her features. Beside her, the maid was holding up an umbrella, a large black sun parasol that blocked out the sunlight. The shadow it cast made the woman look even more mysterious. She tilted her head slightly and curled her lips. "This really isn't a place you guys should be visiting, you know." As she spoke, her gaze subtly swept toward Bo Jingmo, whose eyes were already locked on her. There was a murky emotion in his eyes, repressed, restrained, hard to decipher. Seeing this, Yu Li let out a silent, helpless smile. Sensing the warning in the woman's tone, Wu Bei stepped forward first, wearing a courteous smile. "Apologies, we were just walking around and happened to come this way. We didn't know this was Aunt Lena's residence." "Oh, just happened to come this way," the woman chuckled. "What a coincidence." Seemingly missing the hidden meaning in the NPC's words, Mu Chenxi asked, "Aunt Lena, this is your home? Does that mean Yu lives here too? Can we see her?" NPCs weren't just threats, they were also key sources of clues. The dangerous plot hadn't fully triggered yet, so as long as they didn't cross the red line, they had to be bold and ask. Yu Li folded her arms, her voice relaxed. "Yu, she doesn't live with us. After all, I'm her stepmother. She's never really liked me, so she doesn't stay here." "Then where does she live?" Mu Chenxi's tone faltered slightly. "To be honest, we asked Steward Wang before, but he said Yu didn't want to see us. Still, we really do want to see her." "Is that so? What touching classmates you are." The woman covered her mouth with a light sigh, but that was all. She didn't answer their question, just walked around them toward the large gate. Then she turned and smiled at them. "Well, since you're here, come in and have a seat." Mary, beside her, quietly reminded her, "Madam." But Yu Li's smile didn't falter in the slightest. She kept addressing the players. "You're all Yu's classmates. If I don't treat you well and that girl finds out, she'll be mad at me again." Since the players had taken action, as the NPC, she had to provide them with proper clues. As the heavy doors opened, the dark hall suddenly lit up with a sharp click. The space inside was lavish, high ceilings adorned with intricate carvings and luxurious chandeliers that glowed with soft brilliance. Every corner had tasteful decorations or precious collectibles, creating an elegant and dignified atmosphere. The players followed behind Yu Li, glancing around the room, momentarily distracted by the opulence. By the time they came back to their senses, the woman had already stepped inside and turned back to them. "Come in." They exchanged looks, then stepped through the door. Compared to the other homes they'd been to, which were full of servants, this place, though big, felt oddly empty. From start to finish, only Mary the maid stayed by the woman's side. "Mary, go check on my pet. Don't let it out and scare them," the woman said lazily as she sat down on the sofa. Mary paused, then quickly realized what pet the woman meant. She lowered her gaze, subtly scanning the group. "Yes, madam." Watching the maid leave, the players seemed a bit tense around the woman on the sofa. The woman, on the other hand, didn't seem shy at all. In fact, she was surprisingly easygoing. She stood up with a smile. "There's a large pet at home. It doesn't behave well and bites people. Didn't want to scare you guys, so I didn't let it out." Mu Chenxi's eyes flickered. A naive smile appeared on her face, eyes curving in curiosity unique to college students. "Then why not just put it down? Isn't it a safety risk to keep such a pet? Why even keep it around?" Yu Li walked over to the bar counter and, hearing this, turned to glance at her. Behind the sheer curtains, her blood-red eyes narrowed slightly, a trace of intrigue in her gaze. Mu Chenxi sharper than expected. Yu Li curved her lips. "After all, it's been with me for years. It'd be a shame to let it die just like that." Leaning casually on the counter, her voice carried a lazy smile. "And besides, that thing once swallowed something very important to me. Its value now isn't what it used to be. To just put it down like that, would be letting it off too easy." Even though they were talking about a dog, the tone in the woman's casual chatter gave people chills. As if it wasn't a pet at all, but rather, a plaything. "I see." Mu Chenxi nodded at her words, her expression unchanged. Either way, whatever dog this NPC was talking about was definitely not normal. Her gaze casually swept across the room. If only they could lure Lena away, maybe there'd be other clues hidden in the house. But how could they lure her? Wu Bei clearly had the same idea. His eyes were scanning the surroundings, trying to find a reason to stir something up. Their gazes met midair instantly, they were on the same page. Wu Bei mouthed something, he'd go make some noise and draw the NPC back inside. Mu Chenxi gave a small nod to signal she understood. But before either of them could act, a startled exclamation came from the woman. They looked up to see Yu Li had lost her grip on the teapot. Warm tea spilled all over her clothes. Thankfully, she was wearing a black dress. The fabric over her chest had soaked through, sticking damply to her skin, the dripping water trailing along her curves and disappearing into the folds. Her fair skin looked even more tempting because of it. Seeing this, everyone instinctively looked at Zhang Shi, their eyes full of envy. Was this the power of the protagonist's aura? D***MN, that was nice. Zhang Shi, feeling inexplicably stared at. Come on, could you not look at her like that? She was just as shocked. Okay, but Bo Jingmo's expression changed drastically the moment he saw it. Before his brain could even process, his hand had already grabbed the shawl on the sofa and, in long strides, he stepped forward and blocked everyone's view with his back, draping the shawl around the woman in one smooth motion. All the players? Yuli raised her eyes to meet the man's gaze. Her red pupils narrowed slightly, a flicker of something strange gleaming in her eyes, silent and eerie magic emanating from her. She curved her lips into a smile, her voice soft and enchanting like a charm. Such a gentleman, classmate Bo. One hand clutched the shawl in front of her chest, while her other hand lightly patted his arm. That soft, boneless palm just so happened to trail along his firm muscles. She chuckled. No wonder Yu likes you, being this thoughtful. Truly worthy of being her boyfriend. That one line painted Bo Jingmo as the ultimate considerate man. The players were a little stunned at first, but when they heard the NPC say that, they remembered they were all supposed to have assigned roles now. Bo Jingmo's character setting was the caring boyfriend. But Lena wasn't his girlfriend. She was Shen Yu's stepmother? Wait a sec, does that mean pleasing the stepmother is also part of being a thoughtful boyfriend? At that realization, everyone's expressions were, to put it lightly, something else. Bo Jingmo, seriously? You really understood your character that deeply? While the players tried to analyze Bo Jingmo's behavior, the viewers were already losing it. Bo Jingmo, you, not bad at all. Sucking up to the mother-in-law, I get it, he. I know what you're laughing at, don't even try to hide it. Wait, does this mean Bo Jingmo broke character? Look, an innocent bystander in the chat. Replying to that bro above, Bo Jingmo didn't break character, straight face. Pleasing the mother-in-law is the foundation of a good boyfriend. Otherwise, how would he ever get married? D***MN, that was a slick double meaning. I see what y'all are eating up here. But, is this actually edible content? This is way too spicy. Doesn't matter. The stepmom's young anyway, not the point. Wrecking ships inside an instance is totally fine. Vampires are out here, who cares about morals? Mainly it's just that Bo Jingmo really took the initiative. Even if it was for his character role, this is next level initiative. I've followed him through several instances, and trust me, when Bo Jingmo initiates, he's definitely scheming something. No way he's pure. No joke, it's true. This guy's left the days of fighting and killing behind and become a total love-struck fool. He'd do anything for his girl, it's just that his wife changes in every instance. Even if that's the case, his wife this time is Shen Yu. You guys are shipping way too recklessly. Fair point from upstairs. Shen Yu's been tortured so badly, of course he's trying to save his girlfriend. Ugh, that's hard to say. Did y'all forget what the vampire's ability is? Vampires experts at seduction and mind control. If you ask me, this vampire's luring Bo Jingmo on purpose. She might have already used her powers. As that comment appeared, the screen showed the handsome man's once clear gaze starting to fog over. He looked down blankly at the woman in front of him, expressionless, like a puppet on strings. Holy sh**t, she really activated her skill. No way. I thought Bo Jingmo made the first move, turns out it was the vampire's plan all along? But I'm not complaining, I'm not picky. This woman said earlier that her boyfriend was pretty great, so now she's actually going for it? D***MN, this is wild. Is this something we're even allowed to watch? Teammates, hurry up and save him? Or that vampire's gonna drain him dry. No meds? Don't save him? If you do, what are we supposed to watch? Seeing the flood of spicy comments, the little light orb now the little yellow orb quietly shut off the disc. These viewers, when did they all get this bold? Back in the instance, the other players also noticed something was off with Bo Jingmo. Like, it's just a shawl, you put it on, fine. But why are you still standing there? Muchensi frowned slightly. She was about to say something, when she saw the NPC suddenly stumble. Then, unable to stay upright, she collapsed sideways. Muchensi moved to catch her, but someone else's hand beat her to it. Yuli touched her forehead and spoke to the players, her voice a little weak. Sorry, I haven't fully recovered. Probably shouldn't have gone out again just now. I'm starting to feel dizzy again. I should head upstairs and take my medicine. She looked up at the man and said with a hint of ambiguous charm in her voice, Classmate Bo, Mary's not here, can you help me upstairs? Now everyone could tell something was seriously wrong. Wait a minute, this plotline is taking a weird turn. Wu Bei's face darkened. He was just about to say he'd go too, when Bo Jingmo suddenly looked his way. In the vast living room, the man's arm gently supported the woman. He tilted his head slightly, the sharp angle of his face looked like it had been inked into existence. His eyes, as always, were cold and unreadable. With no visible emotion, he glanced at them and said in a flat voice, I'll take her upstairs. You guys wait for me downstairs. Wu Bei, how about I? All right, we'll wait downstairs. Muchensi cut in before he could finish. It's not a big deal. We'll just sit around a bit. You go ahead and take Madame Shen upstairs. She smiled innocently, but a faint glint passed through her eyes. Bo Jingmo's actions just now, was it all just part of his character role? Or, was it something else? Watching Bo Jingmo and the NPC disappear around the corner, Wu Bei finally spoke in a low voice. You noticed something off about Bo Jingmo too, right? That NPC is acting weird as well. He narrowed his eyes. Letting Bo Jingmo go alone is just too dangerous. Mu Chenxi's smile faded from her face. What else can we do? You two want to go together instead. She led Yi Xian up the stairs, then turned to glance at the two of them. Bo Jingmo is Shen Yuyu's boyfriend. Lena obviously approves of him, so he's the best candidate. Plus, the dangerous part of the plot hasn't started yet. Bo Jingmo won't die. Since he's already buying us time, we shouldn't waste it. Wu Bei understood the logic. They were still in the clue-searching phase, and the NPCs wouldn't attack them for now. But that woman just gave him an intensely dangerous feeling. Suppressing the strange emotion that suddenly rose in his chest, he turned and said to Zhang Shi, let's go. We need to find Shen Yuyu's room first. Even though that woman claimed Shen Yuyu didn't live with her, it was clearly a lie. This was the most suspicious place in the entire estate. Zhang Shi nodded and was just about to step forward when Mu Chenxi suddenly came back down, staring at her intently. Zhang Shi, expressionless, she pushed her glasses up and stepped onto the stairs. I'll go first. The mansion was several stories high. It had an internal elevator, but they still chose to take the stairs. Walking all together would be a waste of time. So Mu Chenxi and Wu Bei eventually decided to split up, 2 per group, combing each floor except they purposely avoided the floor where Yuli was staying. Mu Chenxi reached the top floor. It was noticeably darker here. No windows lined the corridor, and the wall lamps on both sides gave off a dim glow. All the doors were tightly shut. She and Yi Xian stopped in front of the nearest door. She gently pressed down the handle. With a soft click, the door opened. Inside was an ordinary, clean, and tidy guest room, nothing out of the ordinary at first glance. The two exchanged glances, then moved on to the next door, assuming it would be laid out the same. But as the door creaked open and they saw the scene inside, their pupils suddenly constricted. Meanwhile, downstairs, Zhang Shi and Wu Bei had made their own discovery. Thanks to Zhang Shi's amazing luck, they quickly found Shen Yuyu's room. The moment the door opened, sunlight poured in through the window and landed on the bed. The decor was simple and girly bookshelves filled with various reads. At the most prominent spot sat an old photo of Shen Yuyu and her parents. On the desk were handmade crafts. Shen Yuyu had made little star jars, DIY journals, and even a calendar where she'd carefully circled all her friends' birthdays. You could tell she was a gentle, thoughtful girl. But right now, the room was empty. Shen Yuyu wasn't here. Those NPCs had lied to them. Shen Yuyu wasn't sick. She had disappeared. Zhang Shi stepped quietly into the room. She looked at the photo of herself and Shen Yuyu on the desk, eyes clouded with emotion. Even if she wasn't really her best friend, she could still feel the bond those two girls had. She gently opened the desk drawer. It was filled with notebooks, but none seemed useful, just class notes Shen Yuyu had written. Nothing like a diary, nothing crucial was anywhere in sight. Which made sense. If it was in such an obvious spot, the NPCs would have taken care of it already. Her gaze fell back on the photo. She picked it up for a closer look. Wu Bei was searching nearby. He peeked under the bed, and suddenly his eyes sharpened. He quickly called out, Zhang Shi, come check this out. Hearing his voice, Zhang Shi immediately put the photo down and walked over. What did you find? Wu Bei had dragged out a box covered in black cloth from under the bed, clearly something Shen Yuyu had hidden. When they opened it, it was filled with all sorts of strange little items. Zhang Shi looked puzzled. What is this? She picked up something that looked like a cross. Exorcism. Then she pulled out a peachwood sword. Ghost warding. Wu Bei frowned at the odd assortment of items in the box. Looks like she sensed something wrong a long time ago and was trying to drive it away, so she kept experimenting. Zhang Shi set the things down and nodded. But clearly, she didn't succeed. Otherwise, she wouldn't have disappeared. She looked around and said grimly, and that thing, it might be in her house. Why else hide this stuff? Even buried it in her own room, covered in black cloth. Scanning the room, Zhang Shi couldn't shake the feeling that something about the layout was off. Everything seemed normal, yet something felt wrong and she couldn't put her finger on it. Wu Bei was rummaging through the box. When he reached the very bottom and saw something, his eyes froze. Then his face lit up. Zhang Shi. Her thoughts were interrupted. She instinctively looked his way and saw that he was holding a small notebook. I found Shen Yuyu's diary. Okay, the plot officially begins. Time to start solving the mystery. Are these players about to learn Lena's true identity? Hard to say. What if Shen Yuyu didn't write it in the diary? I mean, she bought all that anti-evil stuff. Shows she was trying everything at first. Vampires are hard to guess. Horror instances rarely include special ghosts like that, and players almost never guess that direction. It's fine. This is a high-level game, mid-tier players are here, nothing to worry about. Why are all the cameras here though? I actually wanted to see what's happening with the stepmom. Same. I want to see the stepmom too. I just wanna know, after Bo Jingmo sent her back to her room, did he take care of her too? Why else hasn't he come down yet? If you know, you know. Even if Bo Jingmo doesn't want to do anything, would a vampire let him go? Camera crew, just move it a little, let me see, just one peek. Camera crew, politely refusing. And in a pitch-black room where no one was watching, a sudden sound echoed. The woman was pinned against the door by the man. His hot breath immediately pressed down, their breaths tangled together. Her shawl slid silently to the floor in the dark, forgotten. The black silk gown outlined her graceful figure. Her waist, soft and delicate, was completely covered by the man's palm. Her waist-length hair cascaded like a waterfall, slipping through the man's long fingers. The jet-black strands were like soft snakes, silently wrapping around his fingertips. Bo Jingmo gently kissed the woman's red eyes. "Baby, your eyes are so beautiful." Yu Li's red eyes flickered slightly at those words, like a gemstone catching faint light in the darkness. She parted her lips slightly, revealing two small sharp fangs without hesitation, and gently bit the man's shoulder. Her airy voice carried a bewitching tone in the dark. "I'm not your baby, Bo Jingmo. Isn't your baby Shen Yuyu?" Bo Jingmo lowered his gaze, reaching out to gently touch her sharp fangs. "I only have Lily baby." Yu Li let him touch her, smiling with her eyes. "Breaking character, President Bo. There's no Lily in this instance." The man didn't respond. He lowered his head and pressed his lips against Yu Li's sharp fangs. "Doesn't matter. There's no audience right now." Yu Li looked a little curious. "You can sense the cameras too." No, Bo Jingmo's eyes curved. "I just follow your lead. If you act, I act with you." That's why when they first entered the door, Bo Jingmo called her baby. He wasn't sure if the audience was watching here, and didn't want to call Yu Li by her in-instance name. Yu Li gave him a bite, but didn't use force, just gently brushed her fangs against his skin. "Classmate Bo, you're supposed to be under my spell right now. Don't forget to make it convincing." The man chuckled and picked her up, walking to the bed. No need to fake it. It was when he wasn't enchanted that he needed to pretend. He walked to the wardrobe and helped Yu Li get her change of clothes. The woman sat on the bed, swinging her legs, licking her fangs. "Bo Jingmo, this role is pretty fun." She narrowed her eyes with a playful glint. "My boyfriend's become someone else's now." Bo Jingmo placed the clothes on the bed, then crouched down and kissed her from below. "My wife's someone else's too." Even though Yu Li had explained the system would reshape her body in the instance, when Bo Jingmo saw her sitting next to that old man, he couldn't help the violent rage that boiled inside him. Only by staring at Yu Li could he calm himself down a little. He kept reminding himself it's just an instance. Can't let Lily break character. Yu Li looked down at him, their gazes meeting. A subtle, unreadable emotion stirred between them. She held his hand, and they both fell onto the bed. Yu Li flipped over, straddling him, slowly leaning down. Her jet-black hair fell across the man's chest, the ends brushing ticklishly against his skin. Jealous. She stared directly at him, her beautiful red eyes blinking, fox-like eyes sparkling with mischief. She rubbed her cheek against his, lowering her voice. "Isn't this fun, hubby? My role this time is just to keep seducing you." Bo Jingmo's Adam's apple bobbed. He stared at her stunning face, the darkness in his eyes deepening. Understanding flashed in an instant. His palm gently circled her waist. "You want me to pretend to be under your spell, escalate the drama for the audience, then have Shen Yuyu appear, I snap out of it and kill you, is that it?" "Smart." Yu Li kissed his cheek. "All you need to do is stick to your character. Anything out of line can be blamed on my enchantment." Of course. From the moment Yu Li started teasing him downstairs, Bo Jingmo had figured out what little girlfriend wanted to play at. This kind of forced plotline put him on the edge of moral scrutiny, but it was the most attention-grabbing low tactic. The man's narrow eyes squinted, and his hand slowly rested on the back of her head. He tilted his head up and kissed her, his voice hoarse. "Lily, bite me." The tip of his tongue brushed her sharp fangs, teasing and intimate. "Make me one of your kind." He had always supported Yu Li unconditionally, but inside, he loathed this character setting. He wanted to be bound to Yu Li, no matter what. Hearing that, Yu Li stared at Bo Jingmo without speaking. Her fingers slid down his neck, her fangs faintly showing. "These players aren't like the newbies before, Bo Jingmo. They're not easy to fool. If you become one of my kind and they find out, they'll use you first." Bo Jingmo liked Shen Yuyu. If he became a vampire, the players would use him to test how to kill vampires. So being seduced was the best excuse. Sensing his low mood, she reached out to touch his face, smiling gently. "But, there's another way?" She straightened up, her gaze sweeping slowly over Bo Jingmo like a hunter casually observing their prey. She spoke word by word. "There's something in vampire lore called the first embrace." Bo Jingmo froze. "First embrace? What's that?" "It means giving you a mark that belongs to me." Yu Li curved her lips into a smile. "So other vampires know you're mine." The players wouldn't notice Bo Jingmo's change, but Shen Yuyu would. Seeing her boyfriend already claimed by someone else, she would lose it. Just thinking about it made Yu Li thrilled. Her red eyes lit up as she tugged open Bo Jingmo's collar and bit into his shoulder, her voice soft and seductive. "Hubby, their blood all smells terrible. Let me have a bite of yours, okay?" From the moment she said mark, Bo Jingmo's emotions were already surging. His heart beat so hard it felt like it might burst. He slowly raised his hand, pressing his warm palm to the back of her head, coaxing gently, "Drink." The moment the words fell, her sharp teeth pierced his skin. Blood gushed out, quickly swept up by her tongue. Bo Jingmo's pupils shrank, the black instantly stained with crimson. A rush of indescribable satisfaction and pleasure washed through him, his fingertips trembling with excitement and frenzy. He squinted, arms wrapping more tightly around her waist, indulgently letting her drink his blood. Unnoticed, his body began to change. His pupils gradually turned red. The first embrace from a vampire to a human would temporarily turn the human into a half-vampire. Gulp, gulp. Faint swallowing sounds echoed in the room. When the sound faded, Yuli raised her head, crimson lips still stained with blood, her expression full of satisfaction. She lowered her head to lick the bite on his shoulder. The wound slowly healed, eventually becoming 2 faint dots. In the dim room, the woman had truly become a seductive spirit. She raised her eyes lazily, met the man's crimson gaze, and let out a soft laugh. Her voice sultry and slightly hoarse. Bo Jingmo, you're mine now. As she spoke, she reached out and gently touched the sharp fangs he didn't know he'd grown, her eyes curving. Now, your turn to bite me. Before she could finish, the man suddenly flipped her over, body pressing down. His breath was hot and ragged as he bit down eagerly, movements urgent and wild. Swallowing sounds filled the air again. The man held her tightly, burying his head in the hollow of her neck, his arms tense with excitement. Bo Jingmo wasn't a vampire, but he'd always craved Yu Li's blood. Since the first instance, this man had wanted to bite her. Yu Li smiled and hugged Bo Jingmo's body, resting her chin on his shoulder, eyes narrowing in bliss. The temperature rose, the curtains fell layer by layer, their bodies entwined on the bed. The scent of blood spread through the room. The taboo had been broken. Someone's identity had completely shifted.
Hello, everyone! As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500+ novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.